From Champaign, Illinois, this is the Jumping the Rail podcast with your hosts Mark Redmond and Mike Nartolinas. All right, welcome to Jumping the Rail podcast here from Champaign, Illinois. This is episode 30, is it, Marko? I've lost count.
Episode 3 of season 2 or episode 4? I'm not sure which.
I think it's episode 4.
Okay.
But, yeah, I can't count past 30. I think it's pretty much a given.
Fuck it.
I can't count past 9.5.
Yeah, all you need to do is be able to count to 10, right? So you know.
Yeah, but I can't because,
For
half my fingers missing.
For those of you guys listening, this is Mark Redmond as usual, and I am joined in studio by the low-life thug, Marvin Moser. Marvin, how's it going, man?
It's going great, man. How are you? And thanks for having me on this podcast, man.
Heck yeah. You're one of the rising stars of 01 USA out of Mattoon, Illinois.
Yes.
And, of course, we have Corporal Captain Mark Orsted spinning the wheels for us here. But
the wheels are pissing me off.
That sounds like a country song.
Yeah, there's one in there somewhere.
Yeah. Speaking of country music, quick R.I.P. to Loretta Lynn, passed away today.
Yep, legend.
Yes. But she was not the only notable name to leave this realm this past week. You kind of throw around the term icon or legend or whatever in pro wrestling. Antonio Inoki passed away on Friday, and he's one of those guys that goes like, the people, like fans nowadays, mainly know him as the promoter from New Japan for 40-some years. World champion in Japan, all over the world. Trained with Giant Baba. 1972, he started New Japan Pro Wrestling. And he had some really cool moments. He fought Ali in 1976.
Right on.
And they said it was the first ever MMA fight, like technically, like if you think about it. Kind of a crapper though. He was spending his whole match on his back kicking at Ali's legs, and Ali wouldn't let him grapple. So
did Ali just punch him once, knock him over? Or?
No, he just every time Ali would go in, Inoki go to his back and start throwing kicks. Which sound strategy, but didn't make for a real exciting fight.
Super boring.
Yeah, hard to get punched in the face when you're on the ground.
This is very true. I think that was his plan. Just not get punched in the face.
Yeah, I think the wrestler recognized that the professional boxer with the name like he did and the record he had would probably fucking actually hurt. Was he gloved? Was Ali gloved?
Oh yeah, yeah. Ali had his
boxing gloves
and everything, and Inoki just had his wrestling gear. He no tape fist, no boxing gloves or anything.
Wow, we saw the real version of that in Rocky 3.
Yeah,
when he beat Thunderlips.
You guys talked about how he was a world champion all over the place, but from when I was reading and actually seeing in videos and stuff like that, people are actually saying that he's a former WWE champion back in the day.
Yeah, it was a. Actually, I looked at it.
First, I have some notes. I'm prepared.
Yeah.
He brought papers.
That's right.
He brought the receipts.
So, yeah, it was in 1979. He won the World WWF Championship from Bob Backlund in Japan. And then during a rematch, Backlund pinned Inoki to win it back, but there was interference from Tiger Jeet Singh, so the WWF president nullified the title change. But Inoki refused to accept the title back because he got pinned. So then the belt just went back to Backlund, and it was pretty much ruled an unrecognized championship, so it never went into the record books.
6 days as champion still.
Yeah, right. That's kind of a thing you saw a lot of with Flair in the 80s. Like, he would go, when he'd do tours, like in Japan or in Asia, he would do like a phantom title switch with like a Harley Race or Giant Baba, like for like 3 days.
What was that? Puerto Rico? Was it in Puerto Rico or something like that where he got pinned by mistake, or it was an audible?
I think it was Trinidad. It was in Central America. It was a deal. The crowd was basically borderline going to start a riot.
Right.
So Flair just basically told the guy to pin him and win the title, just so they wouldn't kill him. But the NWA never recognized the title, so it just stayed on Flair. But the fans thought that the fans thought that the guy, I think Jack Verano or something. I always get his name wrong, but they thought he was their like national hero in wrestling. And they thought he was
Did
the
you
world
say
champion.
Jack Sparrow?
No,
Captain Jack Sparrow.
he was.
Would have
He
been
was
so
not
much cooler.
He was not a captain. But some other cool stuff
The
about him.
captain was the albino guy.
Albano, not albino.
Either way, hey, he was pretty white too. Trust me.
Something cool, Marko, you'll appreciate. I'm still getting used to not having Narge around. I almost
Yeah,
called you Narge.
He sends his condolences.
Yeah, not well wishes or support.
I don't know.
He's tying one on at the Pias right now.
He's tequila-ing the Narge.
Yes, but with Inoki, he was actually a member of the Diet in Japan, which is basically their Senate.
Okay. Oh yeah, I knew he got into politics as he got older.
In 1989,
Yeah.
he was a Republican. He was a politician and a statesman. He negotiated with Saddam Hussein to release Japanese hostages at one point.
Yep.
And then he promoted a 2-day wrestling festival in North Korea in 1995, which was unheard of. Is trying to restore like good feelings between North Korea and Japan. And they brought like Flair over to wrestle Inoki in the main event. Just a bunch of stars from New Japan and WCW came over for that one.
Well, that's cool.
And a huge crowd. I forget the number.
Wasn't that a Dark Side of the Rain episode too when they went over there?
Yeah, they did an episode of Dark Side
He's
of the Rain. He's
literally reading the script from Dark Side of the Rain. Mark's like, I didn't really want to put a lot of work in. I just said, here, read this.
Right. Yeah, so, Inoki passed. They said he'd had some health issues over this past few years. 79 years old when he passed. It was cool that they, not only did they mention it on SmackDown, pretty much as breaking news on Friday, they mentioned the unrecognized title run, which I don't think they would have done if Vince was still in Michael Cole's ear. Because if it didn't happen, officially it didn't happen with
Right on.
Vince
Well, yeah,
McMahon.
if they didn't mention when Vince is there, what are the chances they're going to mention it now or whatever,
Right. So I'm curious. I want to keep my eyes out because as a loyal subscriber to NJPW World, I want to keep an eye out for the next New Japan show to see what they do, because I usually do some pretty cool tributes and things like that.
Right on.
And with Japan, they do the big ceremony and things
Right,
like that.
right.
So I'll be curious to see what happens with that. But yeah, so R.I.P. to the great Inoki. And Marko, do you have the 10 bells on there?
I can probably, maybe, make that work.
All right, let's do that for Inoki and Loretto. All right. Thank you, Marko. So, not necessarily happier news, but more current wrestling-related issues. There was some talk about Randy Orton this week, Marvin.
Yes.
Number one, they were saying his comeback is kind of up in the air with nagging injuries. He hasn't been on TV in about June. And they're saying he's got these lingering back issues that he says...
Well, landing on your back from RKOs, for 20 years straight, it's going to do a thing or two.
And that's pretty much what he said. He said, if you'd have known about that 20 years ago, he would have picked a different finish.
Right.
Which is kind of the same thing that happened to Hogan with the leg drop. That's why he always had all those hip problems, as he got older. But, so, we don't know when Randy's coming back. Everybody's saying Royal Rumble, but now, who knows?
I mean, it'd be the logical choice because they're always doing big surprises, big returns, or something like that.
So that's definitely possible, but he's also a pretty private guy. He doesn't really show his hand too much when it comes to injuries or like when he's taking time off. Yep. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that.
I mean, the guy wants to take, just a few days,
I'd say he's earned
it. He doesn't want to, exactly, yeah. 20 years on the road, nonstop, sacrifices and all that.
Yeah. Something you may not know, Marvin, is I was actually in Peoria for his first match on SmackDown.
Oh, really?
In 2002.
That's awesome.
It was him and Bob Holly, and Randy got the win.
Oh, that was live TV, wasn't it?
SmackDown, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. The only time I ever been to a live TV taping was when AEW was in Champaign.
Yep.
Like couple of years ago or so?
About 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
It was like a month after they went on the air. Because I remember I was there also. So,
Man, it was insane being at a live TV tape, and it was pretty cool because like the pyrotechnic, I was like almost in the halfway up the nosebleed sections, but when that pyro was just going off and everything, like you felt that heat just, just blasting in your face. I was like, holy crap, this is so awesome. I love it.
I went to a Raw in 2007. It was the go home show before WrestleMania that year. And so, and I was kind of the same way. I was like halfway up, and this is the Allstate Arena up in Rosemont. And when Kane came out, same deal with the pyro, because he had like the crazy amount of pyro. Where just like it's like it hits you like a ton of bricks, you know. The one guy I didn't see ever with this pyro in person was Booker T, with the big wall of fire that he would have on the stage.
Yep.
So I don't know how that was, but with Kane, it was like literally like an explosion. Just goes.
Now I've been to two WWE like house shows when they were in Champaign, and one WWE pay-per-view, and then it was during the time when they took the pyro out of all the entrances and stuff like that. And it wouldn't have been so awesome to see because it was at a Money in the Bank pay-per-view. You know what I mean? There would have been like 20 pyros going off. So, yeah, that probably would have cost a bunch of money. But, hey, come on.
Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
want my pyro.
It's crazy when the bean counters at the corporate office decide what to have and not have on the big shows like that. And I was surprised that pyro was the first thing to go because you would think that Vince would have been like, no, this has to be huge, you know, and he'd want to
have this, brother.
Oh, that's good shit. Let's see who we got. Let's see. We have Dwayne. Our usual suspects are in the chat.
Hello.
And so for those people listening that aren't from the Central Illinois area, Marvin, you are a member of the Low Lifes Security Force in 01 USA. Oh, I hear it echo.
That's my bad.
That's all good. You're new. But yeah, you've there's some cool stuff going on in 01 these days, and it's cool to have you here because we can kind of get it from the horse's mouth a little bit. Like,
I can give you about as much as I can. You know?
Right.
I got a few inside sources.
Okay, so one thing that Marko had mentioned on the last episode, and I don't know how much you know about this, is apparently there have been talks about running a show in Champaign sometime coming up, but he didn't have a lot of information to offer. He just heard it through the grapevine a little bit. But is that something that's come up in the locker room?
Not to my knowledge. That would you would have to ask the more higher ups in the 01 Anarchy.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah,
hierarchy, I meant to say, not anarchy.
Well, it depends on who you're asking.
I never graduated with good spelling or words, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, Marko.
I grew in a small town, so.
Hey, so did I.
I think now would be a perfect time for us to tell the story of your wrestling career.
Oh, jeez.
How you see it versus how it's been.
Right now? So, you know, I not once did I think would I get to this point in my wrestling career of having so many matches and man, I don't know what to say because I'm not used to talking like this, but basically where I just got lucky to where I'm at. You know, it's pure dumb luck.
At what point in time did you decide you wanted to do this at all?
Well, from a very young age, you know, just like when I was like 6 or something, 5, whatever, my brother and sister were the ones that really got me into wrestling because they were watching it. And, I've always kind of was like, man, I kind of want to give this a try, you know, always as a kid, you know, but, you know, there wasn't nothing within close proximity for me to reasonably
you work in Rantoul, you said, right?
Yeah.
Do you live up there?
No, I live in a town called Cessna Park.
Cessna Park, which is, what is that?
Familiar with Paxton area?
Okay, yeah. I know where you are.
Yeah, a little south.
So you're still in the Rantoul area.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's not that much of a drive.
Okay, cool. Cool.
So,
so 5 or 6. So that wasn't just I'm 5 or 6 and I want to be a firefighter and you ended up a firefighter. Was it something that you perpetually thought? Like you actually, that's what you wanted, and you kept going there?
I kind of like, man, that would be really cool to try at least, you know?
Right.
And, but really I was like, I'm not sure what I wanted to do exactly with my life. But I mean, what really kind of pushed the scale of me finally trying to get out there, and this might sound a little weird or, you know, whatever.
As long as it ain't legal, we can listen.
No, it's fine. Was you ever heard of Glow? Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Yeah,
yes.
on Netflix. I
watched.
I remember it too back when it was on, but yeah.
I watched that documentary about it.
Oh, okay.
And a couple of times, I've watched it more than once, and I'm not gonna lie, it made me tear up. You know, because it's just a beautiful story.
Well,
you know,
and they were also
Mount
very
Fuji
badly mistreated.
Yes,
those women were mistreated. I mean, it was sex objects in the ring. They were fighting for the opportunity to prove themselves as ring people. And of course, the leering old men on the side were like, "Yeah, but look at the knockers on her." And it was pretty bad because that time frame in our history, that was acceptable behavior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
back in the late '80s, early '90s or so. But then that was like when I like, you know, just screw it. I'm going to finally trying to put myself out there, see what's available, see what I can do. And this is the honest answer. I only gave myself a year in this business. I really did. Because, like, Homer, Illinois, I was driving through there, and I found this promotion called UWC, Ultimate Wrestling Coalition.
Okay.
And I talked to the promoter there to see whether it was available, and they said they talked to this guy named Blake Reed. So I talked to him, went down to Terre Haute, Indiana for a while, trained, and then I got involved with another promotion. I just so happened to sit next to the promoter of 01 USA at a UWC show.
You talking about David?
David, yes.
Okay, all right.
And then I talked to him for a while and said, "Hey, do you need help at the shows?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, come on over." And I did. On. And then it was like the show after that, I was at the right place, right time when I was asked, "Hey, do you want to be a security guard for this group?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, absolutely." You know, and I've learned from watching all these YouTube videos and stuff like that, you know, don't say no to, an opportunity. Because this is an opportunity, a foot in the door. It might grow into something. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin once said, like, he hated the name Ringmaster or something, right?
Yeah, it was whatever. Yeah, he didn't like his original, Yeah,
he didn't like it, but he was like, screw it, damn kid, I'm going to, it's a foot in the door, goddamn.
Hell yeah. Give me a beer.
But yeah, it was a foot in the door, and after the show and everything happened, I went up and was like, "Hey, do you want me back next month?" And he was like, "It was Jordan." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna bring the shirt next month." And here I am. I'm on posters. I'm having matches at like the Decatur Civic Center, and it's now. Is
this something you want or think will grow beyond where you're at, or is this kind of your comfort level?
I hope it becomes something bigger, I mean, whatever wrestler wants, they want you to go big.
But I mean, how much dedication to this do you have as far as like, do you hit the gym daily? Do you eat right, drink? I mean, I'm asking because I know where it all goes. Because I mean, you watch these guys in the pros, the big pros, like WWE, AEW. These fuckers are jacked. They're living. I wouldn't say they're living right. They just happen to have the body chemistry to make it right. And the smaller promotions, you tend to see, guys that aren't ever going to get there, and then you got a couple of guys that sneak through. But do you have aspirations or ambitions, or?
Well, okay, so this, I get a good enough workout working at the job I do because I have to lift like heavy parts and stuff like that. They're like 60, 50, 40 pounds, whatever. And I'm doing that multiple times, so that's my workout there. I do that 8, 10. And just like
that
last
definitely
night,
keeps you in shape.
Yeah, that's good. That's good enough shape for me. But because I was told, I'm always wondering why were these people like such fans of me? That's the biggest question I've always had and still do, kind of. But I'm told because you're like John Everyman.
Well, and that's kind of why I was going. You're an everyman type.
And it's like, so if I got real, buffed, ripped, Johnny 6-pack or Johnny 8-pack or whatever, would I really be representing John Everyman? I got to have the gut on me a little bit,
Well, I think only half of that only half of that applies to that, because I think the other half is the personality, the person.
Right.
Okay. If you I don't think you're an everyman if you walk into a room like you own the room. Mm-hmm. But if you walk in like, I'm hungry enough to try to own the room, then you're an everyman. The guy that owns the room isn't an everyman. He's now part of the top click, right? Now he's not an everyman anymore. So I get it. All right. Well, I'm gonna turn you back over to Mark here. It's good talking to you.
Right.
Yes.
Yep, Marko, you have a free bath to do what you got to do, and that's your family crest, isn't it? I need Terramana.
Yes. It's actually British.
British, yeah. All right. So I am back. I had to step out for a second. Sorry about that. So yeah, we were talking about Randy Orton here before we got into 0-1. And actually, the thing I was going to ask, getting back to finish up with 0-1, the October 22nd show coming up.
Yes.
Tell us, do you know some of the matches you got announced for that yet?
Yes, I actually do have a few, inside knowledge on that. One being, there's going to be a battle royal at the start of the show for the number one contendership for the heavyweight title.
Nice.
Yes. Of course, the winner is going to go on main event the show against Jake Lander.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to go all WWE on this, and how they some people just like to announce that they're in the Royal Rumble and stuff like that. But, so I'm actually saying that I will be part of that battle royal for the number one contendership.
Awesome. We got the scoop. Marvin is winning the battle royal on the 22nd.
Marvin Mania will be running wild like it's never had before.
There you go. But man, I'll tell you what though, seriously, if you were to pull off that battle royal, the crowd would be white hot for you if you had a title shot.
We'll see what happens. We'll see.
Now, I'm not comparing Jake Lander to Mike Awesome in any way, but it makes me think of ECW when Spike would wrestle Awesome on pay-per-views, you wouldn't think that, and I'm talking about Spike specifically, you wouldn't think he would have a shot against a guy like Mike Awesome.
Oh, no, not at all.
He was getting tossed through, I think he averaged 4 tables a match.
Was it Bam that threw him 50 yards into the crowd? Or was it Mike?
Bam Bam did it, and then I think Bubba did it once or twice.
Okay.
But not Awesome.
That'd be awesome if I can actually pull that off.
Oh, man. That'd be so cool. But, Awesome, I think, was just content to throw him through tables. He wasn't going for distance. He was just maximum destruction. But he was one of my favorites. And,
I think Tommy Dreamer has actually bragged about he holds the record for going through the most tables in the promotion. It's either 4 or 5 of them. Like when Brian Lee, I think the fake Undertaker, right?
Yeah.
He chokes him off that balcony where Joey Styles
The Eagle's Nest.
The Eagle's Nest, yes.
It was 3 or 4 tables.
Yeah. It was, I remember on the Bloodsport DVD when it came out, he talked about that, I think. It was the rise and fall of ECW, either way.
I remember that led to the high incident match, which was the scaffold match with Dreamer and Lee, where then Lee wound up going through a shit ton of tables in the ring.
Yeah. And I listened, there was actual commentary on that match, and Tommy Dreamer went on to say, Sandman was actually the one that built that thing.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy to me.
And it was the most
rickety-looking thing I ever saw.
It was being held by chains and ropes.
It was just swinging back and forth.
Electrical wire just hanging in the building.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
But, hey, to Sandman's credit, it did not come down. So
it did, yeah. Held both of them.
Yeah. Because Brian Lee was not a small man. He was 6'7".
No offense to Tommy Dreamer, but he's no small man either.
No, especially no. But I love Dreamer. I'm a big Dreamer fan. But yeah, he was always around that 250 mark too. So those scaffolds, they gotta have a little bit of load bearing to them.
Yes, sir.
But no, that's I love watching.
It'd be interesting to be part of a scaffolding match.
You couldn't.
I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but
you couldn't pay me enough to get up on a scaffold. I'm not a fan of high places, especially when there's nothing to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can understand that.
They kind of got that Jim Cornette thing where when he went off the scaffold and blew out both of his knees.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he busted his ACL, and that was his biggest injury in wrestling.
Yeah, because Bubba couldn't see him because he had his sunglasses on, so he couldn't catch him.
Yep.
Because that was the plan. It was supposed to be he was going to fall and Bubba was going to catch him and everything was going to be fine, but Bubba lost him in the lights, to use a baseball term.
I just had a wrestling match last week, or was it this past Saturday? But anyway, someone dove over the top rope, and I was going to catch him, and I got just nailed in the face by their foot. But, that's part of wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to make sure the guy wasn't going to crack his head open on the concrete,
That's right. There was a guy, I used to go to IWA Mid-South shows up in Joliet back when I lived up in Aurora. And there was a cat named Jason Strife, was kind of a junior heavyweight, kind of, not an enhancement guy, but he rarely won.
Mm-hmm.
but good athlete, and he had a spot every match. He would do either doing a slingshot over the top to the floor or just jumping off the top rope to the floor, where everybody would just scatter, and he would just just plant right on the gym floor in this rec center they were in.
See, I'm trying to. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, but literally, it's like you could hear it echo when he would land, because it's like a basketball floor. And I'm thinking, and he get up. I was like, yeah, I'd be selling that for 2 days.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm trying to now. Like I'm getting so jacked in the ring now that, like, you know, with energy and like, just like, you know, that adrenaline. Yeah. Like I'm trying to jump over the top rope now, but you know, I'm not that athletic. I mean, you know, I can't really. I don't have a good vertical leap.
Sure.
So I tried to jump over the rope, hit it, bounce back, you know.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, crap, got to try one more time, try to go through the ropes. Maybe make it a little easier.
Yeah, there you go.
And that failed again.
Do the Austin Aries go between the bottom and the second rope?
Well, that seems
hard to do.
I learned from that second one, so I was like, well, okay, so I just ran up to the rope, stopped, and just stepped right on through and then jumped
There
off.
You go.
But the guy caught me and threw me into a steel post. But
well, we won't mention that. But
that's why they call it high risk.
That's right. Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
So,
I do have a couple more matches if you want to know what they are. So besides that number one contendership, I also do can say that there's going to be Joey versus Cobra 2.
Ooh,
yes,
that'll be fun.
And it was a heck of a match. You know, last time I can't imagine what they're going to be doing to top this one. You know what I mean? I mean, it's going to be insane.
Right.
And so and after that, there's going to be a triple threat match for the junior heavyweight title.
I saw something about this on Facebook today.
Yeah, it's going to be between Anakin Murphy, Fidget, and Victor Analog.
Cool.
Yes.
That should be fun.
Oh, it's going to be crazy.
Anakin, you look at him and you think he's going to break in half. He's not a large guy.
That dude is tough.
But
I'm telling you, he isn't like insane tough.
Yeah, he can take a licking from every time I've seen him work. He'll get his ass beat, but he can take it and he can dish it out. So
yeah,
so he's fun to watch.
I don't want to mess with him too much because I mean, like I say, you think he's just this skinny little guy, but man, he could pack a punch. Right. He could take abuse. He just keeps coming at you more and more and more and more. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. But then you got your guys like you got Fidget, who's I haven't seen a whole lot of his work. I've seen what I've seen at the shows I've been to, and doing the he's a good technical wrestler, and then Analog I've only seen once, and
you're missing out, man.
He won me over with the TV on his head.
Oh, I love that. Like he's got one of my favorite interests in 01 right now because all the lights go out and his music starts hitting and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's a party amazing. When he comes out.
It's amazing.
I'll tell you, my wife dances when he comes out because she likes the song. So.
Oh, dude, it's a party backstage. Let me tell you.
Nice. But one thing I always liked about 01 is, I'm an indie guy going back to the mid 2000s, and the fact that your junior heavyweight title is the old NWA Midwest X Division title just tickles me.
And Austin Aries was the first ever junior heavyweight champion of the 01 brand.
That's right. But it looks like the old TNA X Division title that had the red X on it, but it has a gold X, which I think I always thought looked cooler than the TNA version.
Right.
So I'm glad that belt is still getting some use and some vision out of it. So.
Oh, it's been held by some huge names that you see on TV.
Oh yeah, like Seidel, Delirious.
Yeah.
Jason Dukes is the last guy I remember being the champion. That was back in like 08 to 07. But yeah, I thought it was a cool belt. I'm a belt nerd. I love cool title belts. So
I do. One of my favorites is still the hardcore title.
Yeah,
I love it, miss it, and I can understand why they probably won't bring it back. But
yeah.
But
yeah, we can rejoice in that they seem to have discontinued the 24/7 title though.
Have they really?
They haven't had it on TV since Triple H has been running the show.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing any like funny videos or anything like that of them.
No, they haven't really done much with it. In the last couple times I've seen Dana Brooke on TV, she hasn't had the belt with her. So
so they probably did retire it.
Yeah,
quite low key like the cruiserweight title.
Yeah, just didn't put it on Hornswoggle this time.
No, I'm surprised they didn't. To be honest with you.
Right.
As the kooky, characters and everything else that the randomness. I mean, Santa was a 24/7 champion, I think, at one time.
I think you're right. Yeah. think Reggie Bush, a couple of the Fox Sports guys were.
Kyle Busch, I think it was too.
One of the race car drivers.
I can't remember. Yeah, one of the race car guys.
Might have been Kurt Busch.
Okay.
I can't keep track.
One
of
of
all
the Bush brothers.
One of the Bushes. Yeah. Curly or Rowdy.
My dad always said it doesn't make any sense that Bush guy is like. What car did he have as a sponsor? No, I'm blanking.
Kyle was the M&M car, and Kurt was. Did he have Miller Lite for a while?
I almost want to say it's Miller Lite because my dad was saying
he
it
had
didn't
the
make
two
any
car.
sense that a Bush guy is driving a. It doesn't make any sense that a Bush guy is driving a Miller Lite car. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You should have had like Bush Light or something.
Yeah, it just
That
makes
makes a
sense.
lot more sense. Yeah, exactly. It's in the name.
Or if you should have won the Bush Series every year when they sponsored the.
That was the
It was it was the minor league.
Yeah,
like
it's
NXT.
like the NXT to WWE. Yeah,
exactly. How did we get on race cars? This is what we do here. It's jumping the rail for a reason because we will just fly off of any given topic at any time. Let's see. Minders, thank goodness that 24/7 belt is hopefully gone. I think a lot of people agree with that. Dwayne.
I mean, if they actually had like decent, somewhat, and like I said, it doesn't have to be like a 5-star classic. Like a memorable one at least.
Yeah.
Like who forgets the, Crash Holly going through Funtime Playland or whatever it was.
Yeah. Or just any of the stuff like when I think it was Gerald Briscoe was taking a nap and Patterson came in and pinned him while he was sleeping.
I remember watching that. He's like, everybody's like, shh, quiet.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
And then Pat jumps up and yells, and Gerald wakes up like it. But yeah, it's Dwayne. Yeah, 24/7 title brought some comedy to Monday Night Raw, which it did.
It did.
And
for
then
sure.
it did have some entertaining segments.
At one point, I would almost say it was like the most talked about thing on Raw
Yeah,
because
R-Truth.
there was just everything else was the same old thing.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but whatever.
I think that was a lot to do with R-Truth more than the title, though.
Well, yeah, that's
Truth
good.
is a born showman, as we all know.
Good point. Well, he's won that 77,982 times.
It's
now.
a ridiculous number that I lost track of.
But hey, does Ric Flair have that many reigns?
Hey,
no.
Ric Flair says he insists that he is a 21-time world champion with fandom title changes and things. So.
Yeah.
So that's
I think
why
I remember reading that on the good old-fashioned Wikipedia.
Yeah, and they're never wrong.
No. I mean, you can never put it on the internet if it's wrong.
That's true. I think Abe Lincoln said that. Abraham Lincoln says, "Don't believe everything you read on the internet."
I thought it was Washington, but yeah. I mean, you know more than I do. So.
Yeah, I do know that Lincoln left a pretty bad Yelp review from the Ford Theater.
Yeah, I would. He had a headache from it and everything.
Yeah, I need another visit there, like a hole in the head. He said, I need to stop.
Next subject.
Yeah, keep me in line here, Marvin. So, you actually, and I think you still hold the record for being the most viewed video on our Jumping the Rail YouTube page.
Really?
With our chat that we had after a 01 show. And I want to bring back a story just for the listeners that may not have seen that.
What do you got?
Talk about how you got Jeff Hardy's blessing to do the Swanton Bomb.
Ah, yes. This is growing into one of my favorite stories. But, I can't remember the exact name of the promotion that was renting the rain from 01. Big Time Wrestling, I think. So I was like, I always did like the Swanton off various things as a child, which is probably why my back is screwed up. Exactly. But don't try this at home.
Right.
So anyway, during my training, I did it a few times, and I wanted to, be a real wrestler and ask for permission to use people's finishers because I thought, that's how to gain respect from people. Yeah. So someone dared me to do it, and I was like, watch me, I'll do it. Yeah, just watch it. So Matt and Jeff Hardy were on the show, and they had their match. I waited for a while for them to cool down, get do what they had to do. And I went backstage, shook their hand, and I looked right at Jeff, and I said, "Sir, I was like this. I'm wrestling too. I got this match coming up, and I really love the Swanton Bomb, and I was wondering if it's okay if I can use it with your permission." He's just like, "Yeah, go ahead, man. I'm almost done with it, so yeah, go. You're good, man." It's like, dude, thank you so much. And then, in my excitement, I was like, I looked at Matt. I was like, thank you. Looked at Jeff, thank you, and just kind of turned around and And I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
but
and
maybe I should have talked to him more, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's cool that you were respectful about it.
Yes.
I was listening to Busted Open this morning, and a caller called in and asked Bully Ray if the Usos got his permission to use the 3D.
I remember hearing something.
They call it the 1D now, but
yeah.
And Bubba said pretty much they didn't have to. Like he didn't expect them to. But I guess the story is that they got Devon's blessing because Devon's a backstage producer for WWE. So they went to him backstage and he gave them their blessing, and then Bubba gave them his thumbs up when he saw them do it. And he said traditionally it's the respectful thing to do to ask, but nobody really needs you to ask.
Well, right. It was like, I always thought there is no way I'm going to meet anybody, that I've seen on TV before, whatever. But I just saw it as like, this is probably going to be my one and only opportunity to do something crazy like this.
Right.
And maybe it's not crazy to any extent, but it's crazy for me. But it's like, I have to do this. This is going to be the one time I'm going to see Jeff Hardy, this close as like me and you are sitting right now. I'm not going to have that again. So I got to just, take a deep breath, pull the trigger, and say, like, Jeff, can I use the move?
It's one of the things you're going to regret for the rest of your life if you don't take advantage of it.
Exactly. So,
yeah. But yeah, I remember you telling me that story. I thought it was awesome. So I wanted to put it out in the podverse.
Oh, it's amazing when like people like come up to me with like one person that actually knows the truth about the me asking permission, brings another person that's a little bit in disbelief about it, and I'm like, he's like, do you really have Jeff Hardy's permission? I'm like, yeah, I did. True story, 100%. They're like, that's amazing.
I've never met Jeff Hardy. I met Matt once at a signing at the Toys R. I think it was Toys R Us.
Was it
here.
Like at the height of the broken?
Oh no, this is long before that. This is like in 2002. It was the Attitude era. But they were doing a house show at the Assembly Hall, and this is like right before Survivor Series, and he was doing a signing at the Toys R Us, and a couple of my buddies and I went over there, and couldn't have been nicer. Cool guy. But I didn't get. They had those like the 8x10 things that just had like the white background and the WWE logo on it that they were signing. I don't know what I did with it. It's somewhere. But yeah, couldn't have been a nicer guy.
The one photo like what you were just talking about, I have from a person that's on Tommaso Ciampa.
Oh, nice.
It was had the opportunity to go help set a ring up. For one of the last Evolve shows before it went under, before the whole COVID thing went down. And I was the person that stood right next to him when they were doing the signings and taking the photos and stuff like that. I took the picture for him, said, hey, you got the money here, all right, here you go. Give me your phone. Did that stuff. And and I talked to him a little bit, small conversation. Like, how's the flight? You get any Starbucks? No? Oh, yeah. Well, this one is one of the largest Starbucks in the world. Yeah.
Friend of the show, Jonathan Mayer, guy does a really cool unboxing channel on YouTube. I saw him at the Squared Circle Expo this past April, and he was doing that where he was assisting Danhausen.
Oh,
like he was.
Yeah.
And all he was really had to do was take the pictures. Danhausen was doing everything. He was taking the money and meeting the people. Great guy,
Everybody starts somewhere.
Oh yeah. But Danhausen.
Like who knew a security guard, fighting with another security guard for a position would be one of the biggest things in 01 or me, even me as people cheering. That's just absolutely insane.
And you started a trend now because there was a security guy in NXT that had a match on TV a couple weeks ago, and actually got a win. So
really?
I forget the guy's name, but
I'm gonna have to call some gimmick infringement on this.
Well, yeah.
As long as he doesn't cut half his finger off. So
no, I think you're good there.
Yeah. That's definitely mine.
Yeah, it is yours. So, let's kind of get back on
track a little bit.
We kind of divert a little bit, but it's all right because we got some good stories out of it.
We got to fill some time.
Yeah. So this Saturday, Extreme Rules is going on for WWE, and what I've seen is actually a pretty good looking card so far, match wise.
Well, I'm excited. It's just Extreme Rules pay per view, or what are they called? Premium live events.
Live event now.
Yeah, My apologies. Please don't sue me.
I won't tell.
What is it? I lost concentration now.
Well, I got the list of the matches on here.
Oh, it was like all the matches are like somewhat have a stipulation to them. That's the exciting thing.
It's all gimmick matches, yeah.
They first did that when it actually became like a pay-per-view. You know, the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it just got so annoying when they were like saying, "Oh, come to the Extreme Rules pay-per-view and watch this."
It's just
crap, we got to make this match up in Extreme Rules. Okay, and that would be the only stipulation match. And
right.
But this is an Extreme Rules pay-per-view where things get crazy. I mean, you're supposed to be doing something like tables match, or I quit, ladder, whatever, you know, or some silly little match.
Yeah, and what I like is all the stipulations on these matches make sense with the storyline that they're running. It's not like they're just having a random.
Well, I mean, does the Edge and Balor one make any kind of sense?
I see the logic in it because the Judgment Day is trying to take Edge out and trying to break him, trying to get him to quit, trying to get him to go home.
Okay.
And then, but yeah, and Edge cut the promo yesterday talking about how the comeback has taken its toll on him, and it always gets a little bit harder to keep going.
Well, yeah.
So now he's basically going in with Balor to try to break it, because his story is he's trying to end the Judgment Day. And yeah, so it's exciting for me because this is a first time matchup, Edge and Finn Balor.
Mm-hmm.
And
something different. How crazy is that?
Oh, Wes Pinkley, no Marvin, that finger is mine, LOL, he says.
Well, you gave it back to me, so. And it's not attachable anymore, so thanks for that.
Oh, yeah, there's a pretty lively conversation going on between old Wes and Minders on here. It's like they're fighting for custody of your finger. Yeah, Wes, I didn't realize last episode you were on that you were in the business until Minders smartened me up after the show was over. So that's awesome, and we're glad you're with us on the Zoom there, or on the thread.
Yeah, the man who just got a little bit jealous and wanted to send a message, with me by just chopping my finger off.
Well, you get him if you're gonna make an impact.
Well, it's definitely a way to send a message. I'll give him that.
I suppose so. I mean, it's not how I would do it, but
Well, yeah. I mean, I too wish it didn't happen, but it did.
Well, yeah.
And who knew we'd get? Who knew?
Does he have a receipt coming?
Well, the man retired on me. So,
oh no!
So I think he got a little. He heard the rumblings of he
heard the buzz going on about Marvin.
He heard the Marvin Mania train coming, so he's like, "Man, I got to dip. And retire. I'm done. No more of this. Marvin, my bad. This one's on me. I'm out. Peace."
Right. Oh my god. All right. So we talked about the I Quit.
Yes. And Bianca Belair and Bayley in a ladder match,
right?
Which I'm pretty excited for that. I mean, how often do you see a women's ladder match in WWE?
They said this is the first time they've had two women go in a ladder match for a title, because they've had the Money in the Bank matches.
It was
before.
The triple threat one. It was like Asuka,
Becky, and Charlotte. I remember that.
Yes.
So they've had triple threats. They had Money in the Bank. This is the first one-on-one ladder match that the two women have had.
Really?
That's what they're saying, and if they say it, it has to be true.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I guess I'm thinking of the one that was when they came out with the greatest ladder matches ever on DVD, like many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was a one-on-one women's ladder match, but it was like in OVW, I think. I think when it was owned by WWE.
When it was their developmental,
or it was FC, but either way, it was a women's ladder match.
You might be right. I don't remember.
It was a pretty good one too.
I don't remember who was in that one.
Beth Phoenix and who was the guy that did the pirate gimmick?
Oh, Burchill.
Yeah, and
Paul Burchill. Katie Lee?
Yes. It was between her and Beth Phoenix.
Okay.
And I think it was like a unification thing, too, what they were doing. Now, with the Bianca Belair Bayley, I would have liked to seen the payoff, because before Bayley got hurt, it was supposed to be an I Quit match for the title.
Yeah.
So, but, I get it. Now that's part of Edge and Balor's, so.
Right.
Like, I mean, the ladder match, great substitute.
Yeah, but they also
Can't wait.
They're working in the story though, because at Hell in a Cell last year, Bianca did her finish on Bailey on the ladder, so they're working that back in, and that finish is hard enough to look at on the
Man,
mat.
I got to rewatch it because I don't remember that. Was it towards the end, right?
I think it was the finish.
I don't remember a ladder in that.
I've only watched this show once, and that was when it aired. But
Right.
But yeah, so they're working the ladder back into the storyline, and I think it'll be a
Which,
banger.
now that you say that, kind of, the ladder match now makes sense. So.
And then Bailey cut her promo last night saying that it was symbolic of her climbing the ladder to success again, because her narrative is that Bianca was handed everything, the typical bitter heel rhetoric 101. So it makes sense that they're doing that, and I think that match could very easily steal the show.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because Bianca's an insane athlete, and Bailey's.
Well, the one thing I'm scared about Bianca Belair, I'm not saying she's not a professional or anything. I'm sure she knows what she's doing. I know, but the one thing that always scares me is with that long braid of hers is that it's gonna get like wrapped up and tied up somehow around the rope, and she's not gonna know, and it's just like something's gonna happen. So it always kind of scares me like that, but I know what she knows.
So I read something.
What she's doing.
I read something before, and then I had to go back and watch her stuff after I read it. Apparently, if you watch, she always has her braid in her hand, no matter what she's doing.
Yeah,
and I think it's for that very reason. So she has it under control. She's not going to trip over it or anything. Like even when she does the handspring into the ropes and moves out, she has the braid in her hand.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
when she goes up and does her 450, she does it with her braid in her hand. She's always got it under control. It's like Jake with Damien. He's always got the snake.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it seems like that's a thing she has to consciously be aware of, is not to get her hair in the way and things like that. What's it sounds like a motherfucker when she hits people with it.
I can't. It's hard to believe something like that would hurt, but I mean, I get it. You know,
and
if you tie it like the way she does,
And people always
it's gonna hurt like hell.
When I think it was her match with Becky and then all the fans were like, "Oh no, that's a work. It wasn't real." I was like, "Dude."
I love it when people say that.
Yeah, it's people think they know everything, and it's funny that I'm saying that because I do know everything. No, I'm kidding. Let's see, strap match: Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross. I'm looking forward to this one.
That's a strap match.
Strap match, yeah. Yep. Joined at the wrist. I think it's like a 12-foot long leather strap.
Are they doing the touch the four corners kind of thing, or is this one fall? Or?
I think it's just pinfall or submission. They didn't say anything, but they might be more clear on that on SmackDown.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll say it like they're doing the intros or something like that.
If it was a traditional strap match, it would be four corners,
right?
Which is how I like strap matches.
Mm-hmm. That's the way most of them that I remember is you had to touch in continuation. You can't touch 1, 2, go back 10 minutes later, and then 1, 2.
If your progress gets stopped, then the count
exactly.
resets.
I'm a picky person about that kind of thing, like especially in tables matches. Like nowadays, most table matches you have you accidentally put your hand through a table, and they're like, oh, you just went through a table.
I remember Cody Rhodes and Big Show.
I was gonna bring that up. Yeah.
Big Show got drop kicked off the apron and his foot went through the table.
Yeah, and he lost.
Yeah,
I'm like, you got him.
It's like, come on,
you kidding me? Come on, like watching the Dudley Boys and Hardys when they first did this at a Royal Rumble 2000. What is it? Matt Hardy went through a table, and then Jeff Hardy went through a table,
but they weren't put through the table.
It has to be an offensive maneuver,
right?
According to JR and King.
That's a pretty savvy way to look at it. Same thing with. Do you remember Kalisto and Strowman had a dumpster match? Same deal.
Who was it?
Braun Strowman and Kalisto.
Yes.
And same deal. Kalisto hit like a drop kick, and Braun put one foot in the dumpster. And they said that he lost.
I did.
And then Braun murdered him.
Kalisto's got to win over Braun Strowman in a dumpster. It's beautiful. Oh my god, it's so dumb, but I like it.
Yeah, but you need to do that every now and then. Just that anything can happen element.
Yeah, I mean, if you're good at continuously saying for 40, 50 years that anything can happen in professional wrestling, you actually have to do it in a feasible way. It's
like title matches at house shows. You got to do a title change on house shows every now and then.
Yeah.
So people will think, next time they're here, I got to be there because they might have a new champion or something.
The last one I can remember has happened is when AJ Styles won the U.S. title at Madison Square Garden.
I believe you were right. Be Jinder, not Jinder, KO.
Yes.
But yeah, I remember when that happened, and I think you're right. I think that's the last time.
Yeah, I can't. Well, I don't know. It happened one time in NXT when it was Balor versus Samoa Joe.
Was that a house show?
It was at a house show when the first title changed hands between them. It happened at a house show.
Okay. Cool. I remember I liked watching those two go because they had some good matches. With the strap match, I'm torn because Cross is on the come up right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you think he'll get the win? He
looks so weird with all that hair now.
Yeah, I know. I'm used to a bald Cross, you know. But I think Drew can afford a loss at this point, especially in a strap match if it's 4 corners.
Right.
But yeah, they got to do better with the fireballs.
Yeah, he's been looking strong in all his other feuds right now, I think.
Yeah.
So try to put someone over like Killian Cross. I would imagine him losing, but you just never know.
You never know. That's true. And but yeah, I'm a big Cross guy. I remember when he was in Impact, and he was fun to watch. So
it's kind of like have you heard Logan? I'm sure you have. Logan Paul's facing Roman Reigns.
Oh yeah.
At Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel. I mean, like it's like you know Jake Paul's not gonna win, or Logan Paul, whatever his name is. He's not gonna win, but those Saudi at Crown Jewel shows, they're always kind of a crapshoot. Because do you honestly think Goldberg was gonna beat, the Fiend for the Universal title?
Yeah.
You thought he's gonna put on a show, but you never thought he was actually gonna go over. And look what happened.
It always makes me wonder how much the Sheik or whoever the president of Saudi Arabia, whoever they're doing the show for, has any input in the matches. Like, I want Goldberg to win the championship.
Right.
And they say, okay, done. But
money talks.
Yeah. But I always thought that the Fiend didn't need any championships. His character was strong enough that he was going to get over regardless.
Right.
And I'm a big fan of Bray Wyatt. I always have been ever since he ditched the Husky Harris gimmick and went to the Max Cady kind of stuff, like the Cape Fear gimmick in NXT.
Do you remember when Punk first left WWE? He was this kind of on the verge of the Bray Wyatt thing. Every time someone seen him out in public, or someone heard his music or something like that, they were like, "Oh, is Punk coming back?
Oh, yeah.
Is this?" You feel like the Bray Wyatt's like the new person that replaces that kind of thing? Because right now it's there's that White Rabbit being teased in WWE that I'm wondering if everybody's like, "Oh, this is Bray Wyatt. This is Bray Wyatt," and this new thing's gonna be Bray Wyatt. Nope, it's not.
All the hints for the White Rabbit thing just scream Bray Wyatt to me, just with with the hints. But that's where, and I'm afraid that if it's anybody other than Bray Wyatt, like if it's Joe Gacy coming up from NXT, or if it's, I know this is a 1,000,000 to 1 shot, if it's Aleister Black coming back, the fans are gonna revolt because they want their Bray Wyatt back.
Yeah.
And I do too. But I think he can come back without the Fiend. If he comes back, I want him to come back with the Max Cady.
People don't want to see the Fiend though.
I want to see him come back with the Max Cady gimmick, the Cape Fear gimmick that he had with the straw hat and the rocking chair and the lantern.
He'll probably return to that, and then
dust the Fiend off every now and then, how Finn Balor does the Demon on occasion.
Mick Foley with the Three Faces of Foley. He was Dude Love for a while, and then went to Mankind, Cactus Jack. Back to Dude Love.
I do think that they kind of overused the Fiend during that first run for Bray. Like every match was a Fiend match. They should have spaced it out more. Have Bray wrestle more as himself, and then for the special matches,
he did do that with Miz.
Yeah, he wrestled the Miz as himself, but most of the title matches he had were as the Fiend, and I thought they should have spaced out for the big, if he was wrestling Roman or Braun. But if he's defending against, like I said, he did with the Miz or like a Ziggler. Or,
I don't think he even defended the title against the Miz. That swamp match with Braun Strowman that they had, that video packet. I don't think that title was even on the line.
No, it was a non-title match because Braun was a champion in that match.
Oh, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah. Then Bray won it in the next match.
Yeah,
and that's when Roman came back.
Okay. All right, sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no, you're good. All right, so let me see.
Is there a tag team match going on?
There is not a tag team. Well, there's a 6-man tag team, Donnybrook, the Brawling Brutes, and Imperium. But they have not announced anything for the tag titles or anything with the Usos, which kind of surprises me.
Yeah, you think they would do something. Yeah. It could be like a pre-show thing. Well, not a match per se, but like a segment. Yeah,
they'll be out there. Well, because Roman's not booked on here either for Extreme Rules,
right? Because they're saving it for Crown Jewel.
Yeah, so it might just be giving the Bloodline a night off for who knows,
trying to extend that title reign,
right? Maybe they'll have something with Sammy and Solo or something. You never know.
Never know.
Yeah. The match I think that I'm most looking forward to is Riddle and Rollins in the Fight Pit.
Ah, yes, yeah.
I love what I've seen at the Fight Pit. So, like, they did it a couple times in NXT.
Was it a couple times?
Yeah, it was Riddle and Thatcher, and then it was Thatcher and Ciampa the second time.
Okay.
But this will be the first time it's been on an actual WWE show.
I mean, look, Triple H takes over and look at, like, everything in NXT is coming to the main roster. Yeah. Like the War Games, Survivor Series War Games.
He's getting his vision in there.
Oh, I'm going to love seeing that.
Menders is Extreme Rules in the States. I believe it is. I just don't know what city it's in. Let's see.
Extreme Rules?
Yeah. I forget what town it's in.
Chicago. No, it's not Chicago.
It's not Chicago. I think it's in Philly, actually.
That would make sense. Yeah. ECW stuff. Yeah.
It doesn't say on here, but I also don't have the actual internet up. I just have a screenshot.
Gotcha.
But the Fight Pit. Number one, the promos have been fire between these two guys. Mm-hmm. Ever since before SummerSlam, they're getting into this real personal area that almost seems shootish. I mean, it's not. I mean, they're clearly telling a story here, but it's the kind of thing where the crowd will hear it and they'll think, "Oh shit, did he actually go there?" Like when Seth is talking about Riddle can't see his kids, and yeah, that's some deep cuts going on there. And then
that's not PG era WWE anymore.
And then Riddle's almost like he's not winning this promo battle. I think Seth is owning him right now. But Riddle, I liked the shot he took out. It was like, "When's the last time you main event WrestleMania?" Oh wait, you didn't. Becky did. It's like, damn.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you count when he cashed in?
When he cashed in, it was during the main event, but he didn't sell the tickets for the main event.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was between Orton.
Greatest cash in ever. Don't get me wrong, and I loved it because I'm a big Seth Rollins fan.
Mm-hmm. I'm a Miz fan.
Dude, I love the Miz. I love what he's doing right now.
He's one of my favorites of all time.
The stuff with Loomis right now is gold to me.
Oh, man, I would bet you bottom dollar that they would be a tag team eventually.
You think Miz and Loomis will tag up?
Well, I bet you. I mean, what else is going on between? Why is Loomis?
It would be entertaining as hell.
Like, this is way of Loomis saying, "Oh, I'm a huge fan of you, Miz." And you're like, let me stroke your head. I'm huge. Right. Yes.
Let's do the thumbs up.
Exactly. Well, it would have been really interesting to see this team. I love odd pairings of tag teams.
Sure.
Like, just crazy, weird focus. Like the Rock and Sock Connection.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite tag team of all time. Nothing tops them.
Right.
On my list.
I'll tell you, I was a fan of Kane and X-Pac as a tag team.
Oh, I do remember. 90s. I remember being like a fan of them as a little child and being real upset with X-Pac when he turned on Kane. I was like,
Right.
I didn't say that as a kid, but anyway. Yeah, it was in NXT when they were still in NXT, and Velveteen Dream was still around.
Mm-hmm.
They were teasing them as tag team champions because Loomis drew a picture of him and Velveteen Dream, and I'm like, that would have been a hilarious pairing to see.
Oh yeah,
Velveteen Dream and Dexter Loomis as tag team champions. That would have been hilarious.
That'd be awesome.
Yes.
I can't help but wonder if they're going to wind up doing something with Dexter and Gargano on the main roster, since they had the thing in the in NXT.
Well, I think they're saving that kind of thing for after maybe Austin Theory or something like that. That's my guess, because it seems like they're sticking around with Gargano and Austin,
because he's got all kinds of options. He's got Ciampa's on the main roster, so they could bring back DIY if he wanted to. They could put him with Loomis. They could put him with Theory if they returned one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they could do something with him and Candice. They could bring up Indy and bring back that whole The Way group.
I would imagine that. I would, just give it time. I'm sure it will.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it'll happen.
It's a slow burn, man.
You just can't throw everything.
You can't fall into the trap of a lot of fans where they just say, I want this and I want it now because I want it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get...
Sometimes things happen organically, too, to where you got to follow that.
That's right. But Yeah, so I'm waiting to see what happens with Gargano. I'm liking what he's doing so far. He's putting on good matches. The crowd's behind him. I like that he's teaming up with Owens right now.
Mm-hmm.
Off and on, unofficially as a tag team.
Right.
It was just the one match. But the last match I have on my list for Extreme Rules, Marvin, is the SmackDown Women's Championship, the actual Extreme Rules match. Ronda and Liv.
Yeah, the one match that has to have the Extreme Rules.
Right.
Yeah,
and I'm honestly, and I'm not a huge fan of Liv Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
Minder says the way was terrible, and bring back DIY. I think a lot of people would agree with that. Dwayne, what are you talking about? The Road Warriors are the GOAT. We weren't talking about the Road Warriors, Dwayne. You're killing me. Bet I shouldn't pick on Dwayne.
Odd pairing tag teams. Odd pairing.
That's not really an odd pairing, though. There were two bouncers from Chicago.
Well, I meant, like, we were talking about the odd pairings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. You are validated, Dwayne. But, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Liv Morgan. Fine athlete, good wrestler and everything, but just her presentation, every time she cuts a promo, she sounds she's going to start crying.
Right.
And I just don't see how you can you can't imagine her beating Ronda in a fight. I mean, she got lucky when she cashed in the briefcase and then that fluke pin at SummerSlam.
Right.
But now it's Extreme Rules. Ronda's mad.
Mm-hmm.
And she's, like, for all intents and purposes, she should just tear Liv apart in this match.
I would imagine she would.
Yeah. So I'm predicting Ronda's going to get her belt back.
I guess I would believe Liv would put up somewhat of a fight, give you that hope that she's going to, do it for sure. I mean, but ultimately, she'll probably
she'll tap out, I would imagine.
Or something, yeah.
Or
I mean, Ronda's like the top heel female right now. Which,
right.
No,
she's barely a heel. She's kind of a tweener. She fights everybody. She doesn't have a preference. But I would like to see Ronda win, and I'd like to see her have some sort of program with Shayna Baszler, where they wrestle each other for the title.
Yeah, well, is Shayna running as heel or babyface? Right
She's
now?
Still a heel, last I checked. But there's a story there. They go back to the Four Horsewomen. They train together in MMA and everything, and they could tell that story pretty well. Where either one is a babyface or a heel. You could make Shayna a babyface, and Ronda could say, "Hey, you've gone soft," because you used to just run through everybody. Now you're losing to Liv Morgan and Aaliyah.
So what if it, like, Morgan does the impossible, goes over on Ronda, and Ronda's like so pissed, and so she teams up with Baszler, and they go up. They're like the next contenders for the women's tag team titles. That's what I can imagine happening too.
Yeah, I could see that. And I'm surprised they haven't teamed up yet.
Yeah, I'm really surprised about that for sure.
I mean, I know they put Shayna with Nia Jax for when Ronda was gone, but I couldn't stand that tag team. I am not a.
That
Nia
was
Jax
almost
fan.
too odd of a pairing.
Yeah. But yeah, Shayna should have. If it's not teaming with Ronda or any of the other horsewomen, she should be on her own. She shouldn't be teaming up with anybody because she should be
not
the
right
one man gang.
Anyway. Yeah.
Shout out to George Gray. Just pop my brother because he listens to this and he loves when I mention George Gray, the original one man gang. But yeah, so overall, I mean, none of the pay-per-views, premium live events since Triple H has taken over have disappointed. I mean, they've all been really good. And I don't think this will be any different. It'll be a little bit more gimmicky, but it's a gimmick pay-per-view.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think
one of the first original gimmick pay-per-views when they started them.
Yeah.
You remember when they started them? It was like,
oh yeah,
it was Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view.
Fatal 4-Way.
That's when
TLC,
the money. Yeah. Those are the only ones that really stuck around. Was like Money in the Bank,
Hell in a Cell,
Hell in a Cell, with Money in the Bank, Hell in a Cell,
the bragging rights.
TLC. Yeah, that was the dumbest one that they had.
Yeah,
because that was just nothing more than a glorified Survivor Series.
Yeah, and they did it back to back. They did bragging rights in October. If they're going to do that, they should put bragging rights earlier in the year.
Something.
But
make this brand split, quote unquote, a thing again. But I think that time has passed.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you this: so Triple H has said Survivor Series is going to have 2 War Games matches.
Yes.
And it's not going to be brand versus brand. It's going to be storyline driven.
Right. Like males,
a men's
War
match
Games
and a
women's
match. Yeah, but it's not going to be Raw versus SmackDown or anything like that. So, and I'm racking my brain. I don't know where they're going to go with the women's match. Probably Damage Control and somebody else against Bianca and her group, if I had to guess.
Mm-hmm.
But the men's match, I don't know. Are they going to go Judgment Day against Edge and his, like, Mysterio and AJ, all these guys? Or are they going to do something with the Bloodline? Because the Bloodline, you got 5 guys.
Judgment Day, I would imagine the Bloodline would have to be involved in some way.
You would imagine.
You would imagine. Yeah. You would think.
But who would they put against the Bloodline if you had to pick?
Well, Drew.
Drew, I think Drew would be like the team captain. You know.
Yeah.
I think KO's got business with them.
KO,
with Sammy.
Yeah.
As far as the tag team goes,
man, that's
I don't know.
The Street Profits.
Yeah, if Montez is healthy, I know he had a walking boot on last night.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, I guess he must have dinged something during a house show. But if not him, then I don't know who the other. Because there aren't a lot of really strong tag teams outside of like the New Day or.
Right.
I do like what they're doing with the Viking Raiders, but they're heels, so it's not going to be them. They could always bring up a tag team from NXT. You never know. I mean, it's
you just don't know.
You just don't know. And but I'm looking forward to seeing it. But I'm hoping, and I know it probably won't happen. I'm hoping they put the roof on the freaking cage.
I doubt they will do that.
The War Games match without a roof on it just doesn't seem right. That's where Tony got it right with Blood and Guts.
Well, this might be a controversial take or something, but I just never really fully understood the rules of the War Games match, because the original is one person at a time would enter, and they would beat the holy hell out of each other, blood, sweat, and everything, just from the first 5 minutes of the match, and then they would continue this like 4 more times until like 10 people are in the ring, and that's when you can get the pinfall.
That's when the match starts.
I'm like, so what's the point of beating the holy hell out of each other like that?
Well, it's the man advantage. They're trying to soften up a guy, so then if they get somebody in, it's not going to be a 2-on-1. It's still going to...
I guess that makes sense.
But, yeah.
When I first started watching, like, seeing a War Games match, I'm just thinking, like, just why? Why would they start beating the holy hell out of each other like that before the match even starts?
You think you'd stay in their ring and just wait for the coin toss to see who gets the advantage?
Make it. I think at one time they did make it like a pinfall can count at any time during the match.
I think that was that 3-tiered fiasco on Nitro.
I think that was. Yeah, you're probably right.
It was like Booker.
That was a crazy evolution of a cage match.
Yeah.
It goes from like 2 rings to 3 stacks.
Yeah, it was one ring with 3 tiers of a cage. It was from Ready to Rumble, the movie. That's where they got it from.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's War Games. To this day, my favorite War Games match is still the one from '92, Sting and the Dangerous Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Just perfect. It was a good finish. And there's who from NXT? The Creeds. If it was the Creeds, it'd have to be them and Roddy, because they'd have to bring in Dynamite. I don't think it'll be anyone from NXT coming in. Dwayne asked me the same question I did. Will it be a cage with the top or just 2 rings with the cage around it? I'm inclined to think it's going to be without the top.
Well, I mean, how many have they done in NXT? Like 3, 4?
I think 3 shows, like 2 per show.
If they haven't done it now, then
yeah,
I don't see them doing it because
unless Triple H has finally got the shackles off and he can actually do it his way.
Yeah, well, probably.
You never know.
You never know.
This is true. But I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yes,
Survivor Series.
Absolutely, with that one for sure. Yeah.
And hopefully no champion versus champion matches on there, like they always had it, where it was like.
Well, it'd be hard to do because Roman's got both of them.
Well, I'm talking just like the tag champ. Well, again, the Usos have both.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have like Gunther against Lashley. Although I would love to see that match.
Oh, that would be like absolutely insane.
But we're gonna have to see what happens on Friday, because Sheamus has another match with Gunther for the IC title, and if it's anything as good as the one that they had at Clash at the Castle, I'm gonna be happy, because that match was so fun with those 2 guys.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I would imagine Sheamus winning that title, if not from Gunther or at some point, because he keeps saying that's like the only title he hasn't held so far.
That's to excuse a pun. That's his white whale.
Yep. So. Yeah. The white shark. Remember when he was called that? Or
the great white?
Yeah.
The great white, because he's very pale. But he's owned it. There was a War Games match in Puerto Rico where you had to handcuff the entire team to win. I don't remember that, Dwayne.
I don't remember that either.
Was that actually WWC, like Cohen's promotion, Dwayne? You comment in there. Which that sounds like it would be an interesting twist on it.
Very odd one.
Yeah. So,
but that's WCW for you.
Yeah. Well, it might have been Carlos Colon's territory down there.
Oh well,
too.
Yeah, okay.
You never know. Dutch Mantel was booking a lot of stuff down there, so let's do that Memphis booking, things like that. Speaking of which, Dark Side of the Territories, I think, starts tonight on Vice. Like, it's their new spin-off from Dark Side of the Ring. Like, they're doing episodes about the territories, and I think tonight's the premiere, and it's going to be about Memphis.
Oh, I imagine they can get a few episodes out of that.
Oh yeah, and so I'm looking forward. I got that recording on my DVR, so I'm looking forward to watching that sometime soon. But since we talked about Extreme Rules, we got to talk about what begat Extreme Rules, Marvin, and that is the original ECW One Night Stand, 2005.
Yes, sir.
I think if I remember right, that was the second highest grossing pay-per-view of the year that year after WrestleMania.
It was either their second or their first. I heard because it drew huge numbers.
It drew huge numbers because there was such a groundswell of support for ECW because they'd put out the Rise and Fall DVD 6 months before. Which I got immediately.
Oh, yeah. I did, too.
Because you're a big ECW fan, right, Marvin?
I was a fan of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I could watch, because when I've always heard about ECW growing up and stuff like that, just could never watch it, because we didn't have all the fancy channels and stuff like that.
I'm right there with you. I couldn't watch it really until it was on TNN.
Well, when I first started watching it, it was like clips every now and then from YouTube, and when that Rise and Fall and Bloodsport came out, that's when I first started watching ECW. Yeah. And the one match I remember from the Bloodsport DVD that made me cringe the most was the was it Sabu versus Terry Funk in a barbed wire match.
When Sabu ripped his arm
and when
up
Paul Heyman was selling it, it was so disgusting, disturbed me that I never had one again. Yeah. And I watched him I could see that.
I understand.
I can understand. I mean,
just
holy
the end,
hell!
They were tied
literally
up together,
tangled in barbed wire.
They had 5 guys out there trying to cut them loose, and
wearing gloves, leather gloves, trying to cut them out.
And Sabu tears his bicep and just tapes it up and keeps going.
And Terry Funk with his classic.
I love Funk. So
God
good.
Bless him. Man that doesn't know when to quit.
No, I think he knows to quit, but I've seen pictures of him recently. He doesn't look great, but he's still kicking,
Yes.
Let's see. Dwayne watched ECW TNN as well. Yeah. There was some, it wasn't quite the same on TNN. It was kind of, the network kind of tried to water it down a little bit. But then after that, I went back and, at Sam Goody, I'm dating myself. They had all the VHS tapes of Barely Legal and WrestlePalooza and Heatwave, all these old pay-per-views from 97, 98. And that's what really got me hooked on ECW, watching Taz and Sabu and the franchise and Dudley Boys. And then I would go back because I started watching TNN the night the Sandman came back from WCW. That was the first one I was home. I was actually home for because I was working till 9 every night.
Right.
And I remember it very vividly. It was the Impact Players and Rhino beating down Raven and Dreamer. And I was having enough trouble dealing with the fact that Raven and Dreamer were tag team champions after reading for years about the rivalry they had.
Right.
And so they're getting the beat down on this. And then all of a sudden, here they start playing Enter Sandman. And this is Paulie. He doesn't give a shit. He's playing the actual songs. And then Sandman's up in the stands with the kendo stick and the cigarette and the beer. And it's a 10-minute long entrance every time.
I mean, the man beat busted open before the match even started.
That's right. But he came out, the crowd was electric, and I was like, oh, this is great. It's this is so much better than WWE or WWF at the time, WCW.
Right.
So I was in from there on. And so I was very disappointed when Paulie wound up having to sell to Vince and going to work for him. So I was really excited when I heard that they were bringing back this One Night Stand show in 2005. But I was also a little skeptical because I didn't know, is it going to be Vince's ECW, which is what they wound up doing later on, or was Paul going to have a control? And from what I understand, Dreamer and Heyman pretty much wrote the show. They booked the whole show. So it was, and that's why I went back and I watched it again yesterday, and it looks like an ECW pay-per-view. It does look like a WWE presentation of an ECW pay-per-view.
Definitely.
And what I loved about it was the matches they had spanned every era of ECW. So it was like a super show.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like
they had what was it? Let me see I got my notes here. Hold on.
Uh-huh.
It was like I think did they have a triple threat? Yeah, they did. They had a triple threat match. Yeah, with like Super Crazy.
They did the Crazy
Little
Guido match, which you had at every pay-per-view.
Because that was like one of their biggest.
That was a staple.
That was one of their big matches. Yeah. That you can look back at, like Sandman versus Tommy Dreamer, or the other thing.
But what I liked about this three-way match was that Guido had like the entire FBI with him, like everybody that had been in the FBI outside of Big Sal.
Mm-hmm.
They had Tracy Smothers there. They had JT Smith, Big Guido, Little Guido.
Yep.
They were just missing Tommy Rich, but so they were out there running interference and all that. But I mean, it was still a damn good match. But then you take that, you got Awesome and Masato Tanaka again for I believe the last time.
Yeah.
At least the last time in the U.S.
When I was looking at information up, well, it's a little dark story that I seen was when what was it? Mike Awesome dove through the ropes or something like that with Tanaka on the floor. It was through a table.
Oh yeah, he had powerbombed Tanaka through the table on the floor. Then he jumped over the top rope and did like a splash on him.
And I think it was apparently who was the commentator?
Joey Styles.
Jeez, blank memory sometimes.
Shame on you.
Yes, I'm so sorry, guys. I really am. Joey Styles said, like, oh, it's a damn shame he didn't break his damn neck. And it was like 20 days later or something like that. Or 20 months later.
It was a couple years, but yeah, he says like it's too bad he didn't succeed in taking his own life.
Yeah,
I remember the line, which is in hindsight, there's a couple lines that really get me on that show.
Yeah, when I was like I said, I was doing my info on this, looking stuff up, and
I mean, Joey can't know what's going to happen 2 years from then, so I'm not faulting Joey.
I mean, the man has his opinions about him. He's free to those.
And Awesome had a lot of heat with ECW.
That's understandable. He tried to screw the whole entire company that was trying to stay afloat.
Pretty much. But as usual, Tanaka and Awesome always had really great matches that always gave me a headache. Those damn chair shots. Looking back now, knowing what we know now, you gotta imagine how much CTE Tanaka has right now.
Is he even still around?
He's still around. I don't know if he's still actively wrestling.
It's like that's the thing with Japanese wrestlers for me. It's just like I just see them getting dropped on their heads all the time, and it's just like my god. I get punched in the head and I'm a little woozy. Well, of course, anybody would really, but
sure,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. Let's see other matches that were on the show. Rhino and Sabu had a match on there.
Yep.
Which, for all intents and purposes, that was a TNA match because, like, a month later, they were both wrestling each other on TNA.
Oh, were they really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was like one of their last times there.
Yeah, I think.
And Rhino, it was the Dudleys too.
Yeah, it was Rhino. It was Dudley's last appearance. Rhino's last appearance because he had been fired, but they brought him back for this show.
Okay.
And they had my favorite match on the show was, and how could it not be, was Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
Just wrestling 101,
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that could have been better is if they could have gotten Malenko out of retirement to wrestle Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because they had that series of matches for the TV title all those years ago. But just hold for hold technical wrestling in this show that was rife with weapons and blood and things like that. And not a lot of blood on that show, to be honest with you. It was,
I think that was all reserved for the main event. Yeah.
But yeah,
flaming tables, cheese graters.
Yep, everything but the kitchen sink.
Yeah,
even the Blue World Order made an appearance on that.
Oh my god! Speaking of the Blue World Order, that was just so great. It was a real shame they were never tag team champions in ECW.
They could have been. Steve, he only had one title run with Raven.
Yeah, two of them with Raven from the research. Yeah, from the research I was seeing.
Okay.
Yeah,
but I always like Stevie.
Which they are on my list.
Oh, they're on your list. Okay, they didn't make my list, but they were honorable mention. Just for that dog collar match.
Mention too. Yeah. Oh wait,
remember the dog collar match they had with the pit bulls?
Yeah, because I think that was on the Blitzport.
It was on one of those.
I want to
DVDs.
say it is.
This match's overbooking was kind of standard issue in ECW because they had the pit bulls against Raven and Stevie. Then the referee gets knocked out by Bill Alfonso. The 911 comes out and chokeslams Bill Alfonso. Then Tommy Dreamer.
That's all they did for years, too. It's just 911 choke slamming Alfonso. That was it.
And then Dreamer comes out because one of the pit bulls got taken out carried out by the EMT. So Dreamer took his spot. So then they thought that Dreamer had won the tag titles. And then it just winds up just all going to hell in a handbasket. And at the end, the pit bulls get the win on Raven and Stevie win the titles. But something you may not know, you probably do. 911's son is actually wrestling for GCW.
Oh, really? Who's that?
Big Vin.
Big Vin. Man, I was a couple GCW. You said GCW.
GCW, right? Yeah. But if you look at him, he does a lot of the ring crew stuff, and then does battle royals. Mm-hmm. But if you look at him, he looks like 911's son. He's a big guy. Yeah. Hirsute. He's a fancy word for hairy. But he won the battle royal at the Hammerstein Ballroom in January. Mm-hmm. And it was cool to see 911 just actually in the crowd. Oh, okay. So, yeah. But it's a little aside. Marko says all good. So I think we're sounding good on the feed. So that's good. Awesome. That's good to hear.
Hello to all you beautiful people out there that is watching.
That's right. Or listening, you never know. Yeah, people will be listening later on in the when it drops in the podcast venues. Mm-hmm. But another guy that had his last match for WWE on that show was Lance Storm, because he wrestled Jericho in the opener. That. Yeah, and it was it was supposed to be Lance's last match. It wasn't. He wound up wrestling Danielson in Ring of Honor after that and having a couple other matches, but he mainly focused on training. But he wanted to have his finger quotes last match with Jericho.
I mean, are you truly a wrestler if you retire and never come back again about 3 or 4 more times?
Yeah.
Isn't that how it usually goes? You retire, come back for a while.
I believe Terry Funk holds the record for retirements.
Oh, I have no question about that. No doubt.
Ric Flair, I think, is about to unretire again.
Oh,
he claims that
he passed out twice during his
match,
know. Didn't he?
I hope he has somebody talk some sense into him and tells him not to do it anymore. But
hopefully make it a tag team match and have him just standing there and do his usual shtick or get his gimmicks. Mm-hmm. You know, the woo and
throw chops, tag out, let the guy get the shine, then have him tag back in and do the figure 4.
Yeah, something, give the guy a break.
One thing I did hear, Ricky Steamboat and FTR are teaming up on a wrestling show against the Rock and Roll Express and a mystery partner. I'm hoping it's not Flair.
Oh man. Oh, sweet Jesus. God love you, Ric Flair, but man.
Come on, man. Just go sell your boner pills and do your podcast.
I forgot about that. Yeah, he's actually opened his own wing shop, too.
Yeah.
He calls them Woo Wings.
Yeah.
And I'm not even joking about that name. Look it up.
And he's also
I swear to God, that's the name.
I think he's got a strain of weed, too, doesn't he?
I would not be surprised. I'm pretty sure he does. With Snoop Dogg, I almost want to say, but I could be way wrong on that.
I don't think it's Snoop Dogg. I think it's whoever did the Ric Flair Drip song.
Okay.
But I'm not hip to rap music, so I don't know who that is.
Either way, yeah.
But yeah, so the elephant in the room for the One Night Stand show is the big brawl at the end of the show.
Because, yeah.
And I think there's one thing that I think they got wrong with that show is that they put way too much attention on the WWE guys in the balcony. Mm-hmm. They shouldn't have all gotten promos, and because there were points during some really good matches that the fans were heckling the WWE guys who weren't paying attention.
That's the thing. I think they were doing was just trying to piss off the fans so they would make as much noise as possible. So, I mean, I get why you said they didn't, you shouldn't, put so much attention on the, but I think it was just to make the fans go boo, boo. So it just sounds good on TV.
The conspiracy theorist
get them riled up.
That they put them out there so the fans would focus on the WWE guys, not so much as the ECW guys, and get the crowd chanting the "fuck you" angle or whatever they were saying. I forget.
I think they were cursing at Lita.
They were cursing at Bischoff. But yeah, so then at the end they have the big brawl, and Austin comes out. All the ECW guys come out. Mm-hmm. Then during the ruckus, and number one, I marked out when Taz came out. I'm a big Taz guy.
Oh, I don't remember Taz coming out.
He came out basically and just paired off with Angle because he was still limited what he can do in the ring. So he basically just would throw punches and then put him in the Taz mission. But during the brawl, then that's where JBL took liberties with the Blue Meanie. And
The infamous brawl. Yep.
He was laying him in pretty heavy on him and busted him open, and that got Bradshaw a lot of heat in the long run, to the point where he had to actually do the job.
JBL having heat backstage.
I know, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Don't talk such heresy.
But then Bradshaw had to go and do the job for Meanie on TV like 2 weeks later. I don't
remember what happened with that.
That was on SmackDown. It was basically Batista interfered. It wasn't Extreme Rules yet, but it was just like a no DQ match.
They were kind of hyping it up, sort of speaking.
Yeah, it was basically it was during Bradshaw's feud with Batista over the world title.
Oh, okay.
So then Bradshaw's beating up on Meanie, and at the end, Batista comes out, powerbombs Bradshaw, puts Meanie.
Sounds
on
a lot like when Austin and The Rock were going at it, and Hurricane went over on The Rock. Sounds a lot like that.
Or when JR went over on Triple H, when Batista helped him. Batista likes to stick his nose in people's business.
He does, doesn't he? It certainly seems like it.
Oh, Flair entered into Tyson 2.0, the burgeoning legal weed empire. So it's Mike Tyson he's working with.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mike Tyson, as they say.
I'm the greatest.
I will not do an impersonation of Mike Tyson because I value my life and I don't want him to find out and come find me and pummel me. So, yeah, there's not a lot to talk about because One Night Stand was actually a pretty short show. It was, the matches kind of...
From the times that I've seen next to the match, it was like, the longest one was like 11 minutes, and I think that was the main event. And Tatanka and also...
Tanaka.
Not
Tatanka.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, my God. If Tatanka showed up at an ECW show, he would have gotten murdered.
Anyway, there was like 2 10-minute matches and a couple 7 minutes and 1 5. And...
I think Benoit and Guerrero might have gone 10. I think
it was pretty close.
But I think the longest matches were Tanaka and Awesome in the main event.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, it was a good show. And I really hoped that was the only one. I didn't want him to do a second one the year later. Because that was more of a WWE show.
I get what you're saying, but with the numbers and the money that they seen in front of them and potential, there was no way they were going to say no.
Yeah, money talks for sure, but just as a purist ECW fan, I was like, this is perfect. Yeah. I don't want it to change from, like, this is the show I wanted to go out on ECW. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they put the show on Sci-Fi and kind of shit the bed a little bit.
A little bit.
Vince McMahon wins the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. I was so mad. Dwayne Carter, JBL took liberties with Blue Meanie. Yes, I just said that, Dwayne.
I don't know if I could still do it, but I was able to list all the, out loud by memory of the ECW champions from when they brought them back to when they retired again. I could list all the champions. If you want me, I can try it if you want me to.
Well, we don't have a lot of time.
No, don't worry about it. I thought we should try to fill up some time. But if we're low on time.
No, we're actually doing pretty good on time.
Okay.
One thing, though, our buddy Dwayne Carter reached out to me because apparently I kind of scratched an itch on him this week. He was talking about Sting. And I had mentioned that I was not a big fan of Sting's post-WCW run with TNA and AEW. And I thought I had mentioned it on the podcast here and there, but Dwayne does not remember that, and he asked me to expand on that a little bit. So, Dwayne, I'm going to indulge you here. So, I'm going to start off saying I like Sting in WCW. I preferred Surfer Sting, early 90s Sting, when he was the uber baby face.
Yeah.
The Crow Sting was okay, but it was just, kind of... The Starrcade match kind of ruined it for me with Hogan because that finish was so screwy and, the referee screwed up or Hogan told him to screw up. Or, I don't know what the deal was. But when he left WCW, he probably could have gone to WWE if he wanted to, but he had that Time Warner contract he was sitting on. So he was getting paid to stay home.
Right. Wasn't he worried that he was going to, WWE was just going to screw him over?
A story I heard, because TNA put out a Sting DVD a long time ago, and they had interviews with him. And he said that there was a moment on Raw where Booker T came out, and The Rock did the "It doesn't matter" on him. Who are you?
Yeah, what's going on?
And Sting said, when I saw that, I was afraid that I was going to get buried on the show, so he didn't go. like I said, he could have. He was about 13 years too late showing up at Survivor Series in 2014. Everybody complains about how he was used in WWE. I think he had the... Oh, excuse me. I don't know. Water gives you gas. That's why I don't drink water. But I think 2 matches was enough for Sting. I mean, it's easy to say he should have wrestled The Undertaker.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, as far as dream matches go, that would have printed money.
You could have a WrestleMania with 1 match with that match.
Yeah, that'd be night 2.
Yeah.
But I also was under the opinion that the match would have been the drizzling shits. I mean,
slow pace, probably.
Yeah, but Sting was in his mid-50s, I want to say, when he showed back up. Taker was in his late 40s, early 50s by that point.
Okay.
And they've both lost steps, both of them. Like Undertaker, I almost said Triple H. Undertaker had the hip problems and the back problems and the knee problems. He's gotten some of that stuff fixed recently. Mm-hmm. And then Sting was I just thought Sting had lost too much of a step to really hang with anybody. He did an admirable job with Rollins until he took that buckle bomb wrong. Yeah. Kind of jacked up his back a little bit. Yep. Back or neck, I forget. Somebody will tell me. Yeah. Then people crapped on, and he held a grudge against Rollins for a while. I think that
was there a grudge?
I think there was a grudge.
A real shoot grudge?
Body language when do you remember when they did Flair's 70th birthday and everybody came out to?
Yeah, that was like before
WrestleMania
came back.
Yeah,
for a little bit.
Yeah, but they were introducing people coming out to the ring. It was like Cena and Michaels, not Undertaker, but they introduced Sting, and all the boys were on the stage, and Rollins was front and center because he was the top guy. He was the number 1 contender to Brock at the time, and Sting acknowledged everybody, just completely ghosted Rollins before he went to the ring.
Ouch.
So that's what made me think that there's still some heat there.
Okay. But
then you hear people complain that he should have beat Triple H at WrestleMania. I don't agree with that. Triple H, number 1, that was a way better match than I thought there should have been.
Yeah.
It was overbooked. They had DX come out, the NWO come out.
Towards the end, the end, yeah.
If I was booking, I would have had the NWO come out and beat up Sting.
Yeah. No, I mean,
that would have made more sense.
Yeah. I mean, because they were like bitter enemies for years, and now all of a sudden, hey, we're gonna help you out.
Just because we were all in WCW together, but then
brother.
But then you got Triple H or Hall and Nash fighting with Michaels and X-Pac and Triple H. I don't buy that.
I'm pretty sure Nash actually got hurt in that. If I'm not mistaken,
he fell down, but I think he was okay. I don't think he got hurt there.
That's a miracle in itself.
Anytime he takes a bad step, he tears a quad. Yeah. Oh, Kevin. He's gotten his knees. He had that deal where his knees were going in,
yeah. He used Beavis, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I think he's gotten that fixed. I think Big Show had the same problem, but yeah. So that's where I stand on Sting in WWE. I thought the Triple H match was good, but he didn't need to have a full-time schedule. They didn't misuse him, I don't think. So then he shows up in AEW. When he showed up, it was a great pop. He walked out on Dynamite.
Yep.
Big reaction. That was cool. Then they put him with Darby Allin as his sidekick or buddy or whatever.
His mentor,
yeah. But the problem is, all these tag matches they're having, Sting's the one going over. It's
not really putting Darby over.
Not putting Darby in the best light, to get the pins and everything. It's
right.
They have a match with FTR where Sting taps out Dax Harwood. I mean, come on, but that makes no sense to me. And I know I come off sounding like a smarty wrestling fan and all this, but
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll ever put the world title on Sting, but I do think that there's a way they can.
Yeah, that would something. I don't want to say big because it's Sting, but.
I'll tell you.
I mean, the story has to make perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
I'll tell you what makes sense to me is they need to have, and they can't do it right now because Christian kind of did the same thing with Jungle Boy. They got to have Sting turn heel on Darby.
Yeah,
because Darby is so over right now with the fans. He's like their uber babyface right now. But Sting is a veteran. He knows psychology. He can work a crowd. So if he was to
at
turn
least tag team title run or something, both of them. Turn heel, because I mean, like you said, they're already doing it with Jungle Boy and Christian.
Right.
Why would they do it again? Unless they have some perfect opportunity.
Yeah, I think they have to wait on that. But I disagree. I don't think I'd put the tag belts on them. They got too many really good tag teams in the company right now.
Yeah. Who's private? Not private.
Acclaimed.
Acclaimed.
Yeah. Right now they just won those a couple weeks ago, and I love that call because they had a good run with Keith Lee and Swerve the last few matches. Oh yeah, I didn't really get into much into TNA when I was talking about Sting. Dwayne brought that up. He said he had a great run. It's kind of the same deal. He was better in TNA than he was with WWE and AEW, obviously. But it's just he didn't need the world title to be over. You look at he won 5 or 6 times world champion
at least.
I
mean, there's that infinite time. Was it Victory Road against Jeff Hardy?
When Jeff was
messed
Lotto
up.
and that was just a weird situation. I remember reading about that.
That's for another episode.
That's another issue.
Yeah,
but no, I mean, you look at the talent that they had. They had AJ Styles. They had Samoa Joe. They had Angle, Christian. These guys. They have a world title picture right there. Bobby Roode is another one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
So Sting didn't have to be. Sting can challenge for the world title. He put these guys over, but he doesn't need the world title to be over.
Right, because I mean, he's already over.
Yeah,
with just his name. Yeah,
I mean, they call him the icon for a reason.
Exactly.
Menders, it is AEW, so they could do it again. I'm guessing she's talking about rehashing the Jungle Boy Christian storyline with Stinger and Darby.
Copy and paste.
Right. Which isn't unheard of in professional wrestling.
No.
Not a whole lot of original ideas in pro wrestling. It's just, I mean, there's ideas that recycle and do well.
True.
Because a good idea is a good idea. It's like, and I play music. I play in a band. I play cover bands mainly.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a really good song by Led Zeppelin or Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eric Clapton, and shit, I want to play that. It sounds awesome and it's fun to play.
Yeah,
take these storylines, these moves, these things. These look cool. They look fun, and it would be fun to pull this off. So that's why they do it. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with you asking Jeff Hardy about the Swanton or Dudley Boys giving Usos the 3D. And that's an analogy Bully Ray made. It's like a cover band playing a really good song, and that's why they want to do. And everybody and their mother does a Canadian Destroyer these days, but
right,
same idea. It's and whoever
it's kind of like I kind of try to stand out as much as I can in wrestling, because that's what you got to do. You gotta stand out in some way, form. And the way, I didn't know what to do exactly, as far as stand out, but I think of this and I'm like, oh, this could be good, and let me go talk to Jeff Hardy about using the Swanton Bomb. That's pretty much been, you just got to try to take those opportunities.
Right. You grab the bull by the horns, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Jeff Hardy by the painted hair, as the case may be.
Something in that match, too. I don't think he teased using the Swanton, but he didn't do it.
Right. I'll tell you what, watching how he does it nowadays scares the hell out of me, because it used to be he would do it and he would kind of roll through, like his shoulders would make contact with the guy on the mat.
Yeah.
Nowadays he just lands flush across the guy's midsection, and it hurts to look at it. It's like, because Jeff's not a small guy. Jeff's a 225-pound guy.
He's a tall dude, yeah.
And it's basically gravity.
Both of those guys are taller than what they look.
Yeah, but it's basically just the laws of gravity. He's up in the air, and then boom, he lands on somebody's foot. That's
not exactly a soft, even surface.
No, that's a good way to rupture an abdomen, or who knows?
Who knows?
But so it makes me nervous when he does it nowadays, because, and I'm not throwing aspersions. I'm not going to say it's because he's junked out of his mind or anything like that, because I don't think that's the case.
I think
he's getting older. I don't know how much control he's got over it now.
Right.
But I'm not one to. I've never taken a bump. I've never wrestled, so I'm not going to speculate on that, because it would be foolish of me to try to do that. So
it's definitely not for everybody.
No, I mean, I'd love to manage. And I told Narge on our first episode, because he used to wrestle the Pain Train in New Breed Wrestling Association. Mm-hmm. But I told him, I would like to go in and just take a bump just to say I done it.
Right.
To learn how to do it. Just to walk a mile in you guys' shoes a little bit.
That was my thought process. Like, I want to try this and give myself a year in wrestling, see where it goes. And if I fail, well, hey, I tried for at least a year.
Yeah. I'm going to try and schmooze David. Say, hey, any chance you need a manager for anybody?
Well, speaking of, if you want to learn to be a manager, 01 USA is doing running a school, a dojo. And if you want to, I hope you don't mind me plugging, but
please, no, plug away.
But you go to www.01usa.com/dojo, and you can sign up there or message them, on their page on Facebook. See what you can do.
And it's Joey O'Reilly and Rain Victoria running it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Doing the training.
Yeah. Rain's been on the show. I'm trying to figure out a date to maybe get Joey on. Maybe I might see about if Joey wants to do something like we did after the show one day, like just do a sit-down interview for YouTube.
Next month would be a good one.
Yeah, this maybe on the 22nd if he's not busy or something. But I'll deal with that in the proper channels.
The man that's. I'm sure he'll be recovering in the locker room after he faced a Cobra.
Well, yeah. If he works early that night, give him time to recover.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cobra, he doesn't mess around from what I've seen of him.
No, he's a very serious man.
No, it's very scary.
Very. Have you seen his look into his eyes? It's
I have not
haunting.
had the pleasure yet, but
try not to.
He seems like the type of guy that I would call sir.
Yeah.
I don't call a lot of people sir, but I think
Cobra
would.
Hey, you suck. I was like, no, sorry, sir.
Then I'd say,
sir.
no, Minder said that because I'm always.
No, it was him. It was him.
It's like Braun Strowman when I was joking with Narge, the 3-way match with Braun, Kane, and Brock.
Yeah, I remember that was an odd one, but yeah,
when Strowman landed that really stiff knee to Brock.
Yeah,
and then Brock just landed like
boom,
2 or 3
right
real stiff
on the
shots.
jawline.
Yeah. And I told Narge, it's like, that seems like Brock saying, hey, let's maybe not do that again, eh? And then I hear Braun say, yes, sir.
I think you can actually see Brock going like, slow the fuck down.
Pretty much. I've heard stories of that where guys get so amped up in the ring that the veteran has to actually put him in holds like, hey, calm down.
Yeah.
Knock that shit off.
Speak for, it's the adrenaline does get you sometimes, especially when the fans are like chanting your name and you don't expect that.
That Marvin mania is not to be messed with.
No, you don't want to mess with these 12-inch garden snakes here.
Garden snakes, there you go.
They're no pythons by any means, but they can still pack a punch.
I'll bet you could take me in a fight.
I
don't want to bring it to that. But
no,
yeah. So
just don't mess with me.
No. I try to stay on your good side. Help you get the t-shirts going. And I'll do whatever I can.
Get those made. I really do. I gotta stop being lazy.
Yeah. If you say the word, I can put a Marvin t-shirt on our Pro Wrestling Tees page. I don't know.
We'll stay in touch.
We'll dialogue because I don't know if you know this, Marvin. ProWrestlingTees.com/JTRPod. We have a plethora of Jumping the Rail t-shirts available for purchase. Yeah, it's true.
How do I purchase this?
Just go to the website or the app if you have it, Pro Wrestling Tees.
Well, I don't, but I think I'll go ahead and download that right now.
Search Jumping the Rail, and you'll see our that logo you see on the screen there.
Yes, I do.
And
yes.
And then you'll see we have. I get kind of crazy. It doesn't cost anything to design the t-shirts, so I've got a shit ton of them on there.
Okay.
But yeah, then just find one you like. I got some with that logo. We have a new logo for season 2 that I've started using. That we got a few t-shirts of that. It's just simple, to the logo on the breast on the shirt on the front and then on the back. But various colors, orange and blues. One for you Illini fans, pink and black for you Heart Foundation fans.
Blue is my favorite color.
Yeah. Then I have a blue and gold if you like Miller Lite. Yeah, I guess.
I do love Miller Lite. It's one of my favorites.
But yeah, we'll have more designs coming here and there always. And then, but yeah, just go check it out. Reasonably priced, for one-sided.
ProWrestlingTees.com?
ProWrestlingTees.com/JTRPod.
Ah, yes.
And yeah, check it out. You'll help us out. Help us keep the mics on, and keep bringing this fine quality product out
Keeping
to
the
your ear holes, you know. But Marvin, this has flown by, and it has come to the my favorite time of the show, which is Top 10 Tuesday time.
Yes.
And since
For a second there, I thought you were going to end it.
Oh no, we're not
having fun
quite,
here.
Not quite done yet. We got a little bit of time.
Okay.
But we talked about ECW quite
Yes,
a
sir.
bit this evening, and I figured a good topic for this would be top 10 ECW tag team champions.
Yes, sir.
And I told you before we went on the air, this is basically number one and everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
If there was ever an obvious number one for a list, this would be it. Dwayne, I'm talking to you. And Minder says, "Try it, Cobra knows I have his back." I believe her.
Who does?
Minders.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Minders withstood a hurricane this week. She
did. Don't mess with her right now.
Good thoughts to everybody out in Florida.
God bless the people in Florida. I hope everything is going well right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
At the risk of being a name-droppy douchebag, I did reach out to a friend of the show, Bill Alfonso, after the hurricane, and I wanted to check in. He lives in Tampa, and he sent good wishes. He said that his family was unscathed by the storm.
That's good.
A lot of damage around the state. A lot of people missing.
Imagine.
So a lot of hardship going on. So our good thoughts to everybody down there dealing with that. But moving on, so we'll get into our list here, and
what do we got?
Dwayne's. I don't know much about ECW, but I'll bet you could think of our number one. But I'm going to start from number 10, and like I said, it's kind of a random 2 through 10, or it could. Actually, 2 through 4 could be interchangeable, and the top 3 are pretty much set in stone for me.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have a top 10 list?
I do. I have it right here in front of me.
All right. Well, why don't we do this? I'm gonna give my number 10, then you give your number 10.
All right.
Then we'll go back and forth.
Compare. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So for my number 10, I've got 2-time tag team champions Balls Mahoney and Spike Dudley.
Yep. Go ahead.
I think they beat the Dudleys twice in the span of like 2 months and traded them back and forth in '99. And it was just a fun pairing, you know. Spike's this little shit, you know, and then you got Balls
Mahoney,
the chairs and everything.
This comes back to, like I was saying, I love odd pairing tag teams.
And this is about as odd as you get.
It's one of my favorite things.
I got a few odd pairings on this list, so just to warn you.
Alrighty.
So, Marvin, your number 10, sir.
My number 10, I have the Unholy Alliance.
Ooh.
Speaking of, is Mikey Riprack and Tajiri.
Ooh, I do like that team.
I did have, when Mikey was I guess, all grown up, so to speak, and he had, like, the colored hair and stuff like that.
When they made him, like, evil.
Yeah, pretty much, yep.
The sinister minister in the corner.
Yeah. Was that his name? I forgot about
it. Yeah, Father James Mitchell in TNA.
Yeah.
James Vandenberg in WCW when he managed Mortis and Wrath.
Yep.
He was the sinister minister in ECW.
All right.
Best name out of the 3, I think.
For sure.
But no, that's a great call. They held it. They were one of the last tag champs in 2000. But they not a long run, but they were a fun team to watch.
Mm-hmm.
They had I think most of their matches were against the FBI, Mama Luke and Guido.
Yeah, I do remember one of them, the One Night Stand pay-per-views where they had a triple threat tag team match, and it was like the Unholy Alliance versus like 2 members of the FBI, and
I forget who the third team was.
Well, it was
Balls and somebody, wasn't it?
No, I want to say Super Crazy and somebody else. But
I'd have to go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
I know their last pay-per-view they did before One Night Stand, it was FBI, Tajiri and Mikey, and then Super Crazy and Kid Cash was the third team.
Okay.
In a 3-way. It was a lot. It was a lot of fun. All right, number 9. I'm going kind of old school, like the OG ECW. The original Mad Dogs of War, the Pitbulls, are my number 9.
Okay.
Just one run with the tag titles for them, but Pitbull number 2 was a TV champion at one point.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Then I thought they had a couple of runs, but one of them had a singles.
Maybe more than one. I thought just the one, but I have to go back and do some research.
Yeah.
But after 95, they never had another.
Right. I think they were doing their own thing.
Yeah, like Gary had neck problems, Pitbull number 1, and then Pitbull number 2 went feuded with Shane Douglas over the TV title.
I have them on my honorable mentions. Not gonna lie.
A great finish.
I like them. I like the fact that they got over with their names, Pitbull 1 and Pitbull 2.
Yeah.
You know,
They were almost ECW's version of the Road Warriors.
Yeah,
that big muscly,
if you want
ass kicking team. You know?
If you want to compare, that would be the closest thing to compare it to. Yeah.
All right, your number 9.
My number
Marvin.
9, I had. You might not like it, because you just mentioned them a little bit ago. Raven and oh no, I'm sorry, I misread that. It's actually Raven and Stevie.
Okay.
Yeah, I misread that.
I love the dynamic between those two guys, with Stevie being the coolest lackey for Raven.
Hey, what do you got to do, boss? Hey, what you need? Yeah.
It was
You got to get him good.
It was like the cartoon dogs. Like, hey, Spike, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, what are we gonna do, Spike?
You shut up. Plus, that pairing is what gave us the stunning and vivacious Beulah McGillicuddy, who was I had a bit of a crush on in high school.
It was Trish Stratus for me, but
she was up there too.
Even as a smaller child, it would be actually Kimberly Hart from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series. But
yeah, a lot of people say that. For me, when I was younger, it was Topanga.
Who is that?
Topanga from Boy Meets World.
Oh yes, yeah. I did watch a few episodes, but that wasn't in my wheelhouse at the time. So.
As far as wrestling girls go, I saw a centerfold in Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Tommy Dreamer, where he had Beulah and Kimono Wanalea with him.
Yeah.
So that poster went on my wall. I was all about Beulah.
Nice.
And then in 96, 95, I like Sunny, you know.
Of course.
Albeit what she evolved into is train wreck.
She was a person I got to meet face to face.
Yeah, she did a 0-1 show
she did.
last year.
She did.
How was she?
Well, I think she got in trouble just a few days after I
think you're right. So.
Yeah, so lest we talk about
that. We won't go too far into that.
Yeah. Number 8?
Yeah. Man, you've nailed the segue and the sidestep for my phone just went to sleep. Give me a second. And there we go. All right. Number 8. 2-time ECW Tag Team Champions. I also went with Mikey Whipwreck, but I got Cactus Jack.
Ah, okay.
Remember when they beat the Public Enemy?
Yeah, they were both 2-time Tag Team Champions.
Yeah.
And I read like the second time that they won it was against Too Cool Scorpio, and it was just a 1-on-1 match.
Yeah, because the Sandman wasn't there.
Yeah, Scorpio was the TV champion and tag team champion, and he put both of those titles on the line against Mikey. And then Cactus just came out and was like, I'm his partner. Partner.
Yeah, Cactus kind of like just piggybacked on Mikey.
It seems like that happened a lot in the ECW days.
Yeah, formats were
not saying
a myth.
it's bad, but it's
booking sheets were a myth in ECW. I think. All right, your number 8.
Yes, I had. I'm probably being generous. Public Enemy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, number 8. I had that. Well, like we were talking about before, there was like kind of a limited choice as far as ECW.
Right.
And they had their popular run in ECW for sure. Yeah. Not in other promotions, as you may or may not know.
Not the most popular team in other promotions.
Right, but in ECW, yeah, definitely. But in ECW, they were a top tag team.
But, honestly, I'm going to admit I've got the Public Enemy higher on my list than number 8.
Yeah.
But no, a good call. I enjoy them in ECW. Again, not so much in WCW, WWF.
Mm-hmm. Because they didn't do a whole lot.
The story I heard is they almost ruined it for the Dudleys, because when the Dudleys went from ECW to WWF, they were still kind of
a little hesitant about ECW guys. They were a little gun-shy
about ECW guys coming in.
I remember the Dudleys debuting.
It was kind of quiet. It was on SmackDown. It wasn't like
didn't they just like show up out of nowhere?
They just showed up and just started fighting the Acolytes, I think.
That's what. Yeah.
All right, number 7. One of my favorite teams from WCW, but they also had a tag title run in ECW, which is from the Triple Threat, the original Triple Threat, Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit.
Yeah. That's I guess me and you have something in common, because I have them as number 7 as well.
Wow, nice.
Yes. But something I didn't know, I was only aware of Triple Threat with the DVDs, the ECW DVDs and stuff like that. And the ones that were constant was Candido, Shane Douglas, and Bam Bam Bigelow.
Right. That's, I think, the greatest incarnation of the Triple Threat.
Well, in my research and doing this, I stumbled across, it was like, there was like 12 different people in this group.
Quite a few. Brian Lee was one of them.
Yeah, it was, Brian Lee, Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, and I think it was. No, not Eddie. Yeah, it was Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit were tag team champions when they were the Triple Threat.
And Dean was the TV champion.
Yeah, yep. And
so they had all the titles.
Lance Storm was apparently in it at one time.
He was a prospect. He was never a full-fledged member, but he was teaming with Candido at the time.
Yeah, and Too Cold Scorpio was in it briefly, apparently, from what I've seen.
The Eliminators for a bit were.
And yeah, I have. That's what I have.
Yeah.
And this guy named Supreme. I don't know if you.
I'm not real familiar with Supreme. But no. I love the Triple Threat. Shane Douglas is my favorite ECW wrestler.
Yeah, because he was
he was like, I wouldn't want to ever say he was their Flair because he hates Flair. But for all you baseball fans, Aaron Judge has hit number 62 against the Texas Rangers. Marko just put it on the thread there, so hats off to him. And Narge, before I mention this, are you sure? You teased this last week. He's teased about possibly coming out of retirement for one more match. He says, does Marvin want a piece of the pain train? And then he says, David Cavazos, book it.
Well, I'm right here. You know where to find me. I'm on the socials.
Yeah, well.
We'll talk.
Yeah, if this is something that Narge is serious about doing, he tagged David Cavazos, said David Cavazos, book it. Menders is basically calling your punk card. Marvin, you getting called out, except I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But if it does happen, I will probably be managing the pain train just out of loyalty because he's my buddy. But but I don't know. The ball is in 0-1 USA's court, I guess. Narge is sticking with it. I was wondering after last week if he was going to still have the challenge out just to work one more match. But he didn't have an opponent in mind. He just said whoever. But he is at the bar, though. You would take that with a grain of salt.
Like I said, if he wants to go up against Marvin Mania, he's just not fighting me. He's fighting all the Marvin Maniacs
That's right.
out
there. You're going to have the people behind you.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And you don't want to mess with the fans.
No.
Especially
those fans.
Sir. Yes.
Those fans think it's real.
God bless them.
Yeah, God bless them indeed.
God bless them.
Yeah, Menders gave me a detailed warning about the 0-1 fans. The first time I went to a show, she's like, all right, well, those
they can be
people
very
are
loyal.
very intense.
Yes.
Very vocal.
Yes. That is for sure. And like I said, God bless them.
Hey, it's great. You don't want them sitting on their hands, man. You want them to be into it.
They're definitely into it, that's for sure.
So, all right, back to the list here. Number 6. Yep. I mentioned them briefly earlier. Raven and Tommy Dreamer. Just because, how does this happen?
I have them as number 6 as well.
Oh, wow.
No joke. It's right there.
Man, maybe I should be managing you.
Yep.
I can manage the low lifes. I like the song. I have camouflage pants somewhere.
Oh, man.
All right. Yeah, so we both have Raven the Dreamer number 6.
Mm-hmm.
I think they actually did hold it a couple times.
I want to say they did a couple times, but when I was reading them,
Raven's return to ECW when he helped Dreamer beat the Dudleys and win the titles was awesome.
that was definitely the first time.
That was the first episode on TNN, actually.
Was it really?
Yeah, because it was the Dudleys' last night in the company.
Okay.
So at the end of the show, they were gonna walk out with the belts and take them to WWF, and then Dreamer came out and he was wrestling 1-on-2, and then at the end, Raven came out, DDT'd Bubba and pinned him, and they won the tag titles out of the blue. And it was Raven's night back from WCW.
Yeah.
But it was just awesome. The crowd, same deal. ECW crowd was white hot. It was in Queens. It wasn't at the ECW arena. But
Dudley's didn't even want to leave ECW at all.
No, they
just wanted $1 more. And
they just wanted Paul to make some sort of a commitment to want to give him a little bit more.
But hey, Paul had to do it,
Yeah.
Business is business. Business is business, and you got to do what you got to do for your family. So.
Yeah. All right, number 5. I've got the Gangsters, New Jack and Mustafa. You too?
Are you serious?
Did you?
Yeah,
I
swear to God.
List?
No, I swear to God. Number 5 right there. The Gangsters.
I'll be
not the Gangsters.
Yep,
the Gangsters.
Oh, I got the TAS at the end there. So
yeah,
New Jack and Mustafa. Just Number 1, I loved their entrance using Natural Born Killers.
Yeah, I can't remember how it goes, but I got
Yeah, we can't sing it anyway because I don't want to pay the rights fees. But no, they just everything that you saw of New Jack after the Gangsters broke up was the Gangsters. It was bringing the big bucket of weapons out and just a madness. But they were so fun to watch when you weren't wrestling them.
especially against New Jack.
Yeah.
Don't piss him off.
Oh yeah, because he brings real knives.
I'm sure you've seen the Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh,
episode,
Mass Transit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Such a weird.
Don't mess with him.
That was such a weird situation all around. The kid lied about his age apparently.
I mean, yeah, I don't.
Get him in.
Yeah. I don't see how New Jack would get in trouble if he was the one lying and saying
and
this,
then,
that, or
and
the
then
other.
the kid asked New Jack to blade him, which is just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come on, man. But anyway, I'm not going to digress on that.
We digress.
We digress indeed. All right, so we both had that for number 5. Number 4. All right, I'm going to see if you have this one for number 4.
Okay.
All right, Rob Van Dam and Sabu.
I don't have it. This is where the winning streak the streak ends.
Yes.
I have. Go ahead. What are you saying?
Number 1, just they're such a fun tag team. They're like both high flyers, but very different though. Van Dam was more polished, doing the martial arts stuff. Sabu was just a madman.
He did the high flying, but it was the rough style high flying.
Right.
Say, yeah.
The match they had, and we used to do this thing on the show where we would pick a match and talk about it for a segment. And one episode we did was Heatwave '98 with Van Dam and Sabu against Hayabusa and Shinzaki from Japan.
Yep.
And it was such a great match. It's all 4 of the guys. Sabu and Hayabusa are fun to watch in them because they're very similar to each other. Shinzaki is Hakushi from WWE back in the mid '90s, and just as a matchup, it was just so good, just very even. You didn't know who was going to win, although you kind of had a feeling Van Dam was going to win on pay-per-view.
Right.
But yeah, and then that was another deal. Van Dam was a double champion at the time. He was TV champion and tag champion on 2 occasions.
Yeah.
All right, your number 4.
My number 4, this is where I have Spike Dudley and Balls Mahoney.
Okay.
I just I love, because it's an odd pairing, like we keep talking about, keep saying, Spike Dudley with this huge monstrous guy, and Spike Dudley just going balls to the wall crazy on, the taller dudes and stuff like that, and just acting all crazy, jump from high spots, and he just did not give a, I don't curse too much, but
no.
But yeah, the biggest bump I think he ever took, I wouldn't say, is the choke slam to the outside from when he took a choke slam from the Undertaker to the outside. And this was in the WWE days.
I think it was the one for him was a double choke slam kind of move from La Resistance.
Oh, when he
was supposed to go through the table, but
the only thing that hit the table was the back of his head.
I swear, I thought they killed him. I thought he severed.
Well, it's a good way to do it. Probably, yeah.
But yeah, it's just because his feet got stuck in the ropes.
Yeah, that was about to say.
They didn't clear his feet before they threw him. But hopefully they had learned their lesson and didn't do that again.
Well, he's still alive and kicking. So.
This is very true. I'm enjoying his substances from what I hear, but, I'm not going to judge.
Well, you got to do what you got to do.
That's true. All right, number 3. This is where I've got the Public Enemy.
Okay.
Just for the fact that for a few years, they were the face of ECW.
Yeah, in the early days, for sure.
Yeah, before Dreamer got over, when Sandman was a heel, Douglas was doing his thing and all that. But the Public Enemy was like, they embodied... According to Paul Heyman, they embodied the attitude of ECW.
Right, and they brought that energy with the fans.
Yeah, they were from Philly, so they were running the ECW arena in South Philly. So yeah.
Was it? No, was it? And they weren't the ones that broke up and had a match against each other in a Type 8 death match.
No, that was the Bad Breed. That was Axel Rotten and Ian Rotten.
Okay, that's who I'm thinking.
Great
of
match.
Then. Yeah. I think that was the first one on the Bloodsport DVD. So
I think so. Yeah. I think they went in chronological order on that DVD.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to get too far into Public Enemy because we kind of covered everything we need to about them.
We did.
So you're number 3.
My number 3. This is where I have the legendary Dudley Boys at.
Really?
Yeah.
This is going to get you some heat from our listening audience, I think.
Well, I'm not saying they're a terrible team, and they're a great team, obviously.
Great finish.
You what?
Great finish.
Yep. They're 8-time ECW Tag Team Champions?
8 times, yeah.
8 times. The bringers of the table match, the legends.
The flaming tables and all
Flaming tables, yes, excuse me.
A little bit of both, but...
I sound like a dumb broken record, you know. It's not like it wasn't. It didn't capture. How do I put? I don't even know how to put.
It didn't
this.
capture your imagination.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I knew who they were and what they did and everything like that. It's like I said, I have more fun with the odd pairings.
Yeah,
like the Rock and Sock connection.
Well, I'll give my opinion on the Dudleys when they come up on my list, but it's Dwayne says Team 3D number 3. Come on, man. Number 1, Team 3D was in, Team 3D was in TNA, sir. You're talking about the Dudley Boys. Big difference. The tie-dye, and the inbreeding, and the
well, the multiple Dudley members.
There were so many Dudleys at first.
Many.
I'm trying.
They had like Sign Guy Dudley,
Sign Guy, Big Dick Dudley, Snot Dudley.
Snot, yeah.
They actually had a Dudley. Did
they really?
Yeah, Dances with Dudley, the Indian.
Did they have the guy in their group who was the guy that wore the neck brace all the time?
Joel Gertner.
Was he in the group with them?
He was like their manager. He
yeah.
was their manager.
Okay.
And also their personal ring announcer.
All right, yeah.
Whoa.
That was my favorite thing about him is he would just go on this long tangents, like when he was in, Devon Dudley, so on, so on.
Oh, yeah. And then when he was paired up with Joey Styles on commentary, he would do those dirty limericks in the ring, and Joey would just be cringing in the background because he was trying to say this shit on TV. But no, Joel's awesome. Actually, I reached out to him about maybe coming on at some point, but when he's not so busy, I think he's going to try to make it on.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Number 2, for me, I've got the Eliminators. Perry Saturn, John Cruns.
Yeah.
3 times World Tag Team Champions.
Yep.
They beat the Dudleys on Barely Legal in the first match on pay-per-view to win their 3rd tag titles.
I think when I first seen them, I think they were facing the Gangstas in a steel cage match for the titles.
Yes. I think that's the one where they joined the Triple Threat.
I'm not sure about that because it was like one of the many wrestling DVDs that I have.
Was it the one they had like the masked executioners on the outside bringing weapons up to New Jack?
Yeah, and he was like trying to throw him in the ring.
Yeah.
And I think he failed a couple times.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because that is the same one because I remember that match because one of them wound up breaking the guitar over New Jack's head and it was Shane Douglas in a mask.
Yeah.
So that's when... And the Gangsters wound up winning the match and the Eliminators were arguing. Then Douglas put them together and did the 3. And I have a borderline Rain Man memory for some of this stuff. So
it's all good, man.
All right, so the Eliminators is my number 2. Just such a fun team. Worked in the martial arts and the high flying. Your number 2, sir.
My number 2. This is where I had Sabu and RVD.
Okay.
I just I love their high flying because they were both technically high flyers. Sabu did the high flying stuff, and like you said, Ron Van Dam was the more smoother of the high flying, and Sabu was the rough and tough. And
Van Dam made it look cooler.
And they also had a great one-on-one rivalry too. Yeah. They had a stretcher match at one time. I remember seeing. So.
I remember that.
Yeah, and that's why they're in my number 2.
I remember
they were very entertaining as a tag team, and they're a good rivalry at that.
They say you can't have a good tag team unless you have 2 really good singles wrestlers, and that was definitely the case with them.
Plus, the case of many.
Plus, a very important cog in the Van Dam Sabu machine was one Mr. Bill Alfonso on the floor.
Yes.
The manager of champions for a reason, and so they're definitely one of my favorites to watch. So I'm down with that. All right, so we are to our number 1, and I'm going to defer here. I'm going to let you go first with your number 1 because I'm dying to know who beat the Dudley Boys for number 1 on here.
Well, I guess I'm prepared for the heat or something my number 1. I absolutely love the pairing of Cactus Jack and Mikey Rickrack.
Okay.
Because Mikey played the role of, the nervous, overwhelmed guy who's just trying to be a wrestler.
The lovable underdog.
Yeah, he won I think it was before or after they won the titles. Cactus was like, Mikey, you did it. He's like... And Mikey was I can't remember what what Cactus said exactly, but Mikey was just he was like, crying. He's like, man, I'm gonna die. And the Cactus is like,
it's like the public enemy's gonna be really mad.
Yeah. But yeah, they were definitely one of mine because like Mikey was I guess you could say kind of like me in 0-1. He's the lovable underdog that nobody thought, could make it in the promotion, and look what happened.
Right.
And I don't know if you know this, but he was actually the first, and might be the only one in ECW history to win all the titles, because he won the tag, TV, and the heavyweight.
Mm-hmm. Not the only one, but yeah, I think he was the first.
Yeah, he was definitely the first.
I know Taz did it.
Did he win the? Yeah, he did win. Sabu. He did win the TV title, and with Sabu, yeah.
And then Sabu did it.
Yep.
And actually, those two guys held all four because they were
both
they
were
FTW
part of my
champions.
honorable mentions.
Yeah, I almost put them on the list, but yeah. So I mean, I can't complain about Cactus and Mikey getting up at the top.
No,
of the list.
I mean,
because they were a fun team.
Yeah, they were a lovable, because it was like just so different.
Oh yeah. So my number one, I mean, I thought it was a no-brainer. I got the Dudley Boys number one. Just number one, nobody could touch them for their record for number of tag title runs.
Yeah,
with 8
for sure.
Nobody could get heat like they could.
No,
with their promos.
I mean, they did not hold back at all.
I mean, they incited riots regularly at ECW shows. That Hardcore Heaven, I think it was 1999. Bubba cut the promo on the woman in the front row.
Oh, about the daughter teaching.
Yeah.
We'll say he suck hot dogs.
And and then he goes out on the floor and he's like right in her face. He's like, "Come on, hit me, whore!" And I'm like, "Oh my god, somebody's gonna take a swing at him." And I'll bet people took swings at Bubba more than once.
I remember having an experience like that. It was when I first became a security guard for the Low Lives.
Mm-hmm.
It was at the Low Life Takeover show, and Ralph, Rated Ralph. I don't know. He was our ring announcer for the longest time of 0-1.
Mm-hmm.
Special shout out to him. It was like at one time we got in his face. They were talking and blah blah blah, and all of a sudden we beat him up, took him to a corner, and we plugged in some like hair clippers.
Oh no!
And I was like one of the guys that was holding him down as we were like shaving an L in his head, on the top of his head.
Oh.
And I remember, of course, babyface green Marvin doesn't know really what the heck he's doing or what to do exactly when something happens. There was like 2 or 3 guys just getting like right there in front of my face, just calling me, "You disrespectful piece of crap! How dare you do this? This is ridiculous!" I'm just like, "Oh my god, what the?" But I'm just like playing that.
The heat is real.
It was insane because I also remember like putting up signs throughout the show too, like during in between matches and stuff like that. It's like, we run this, we run, and people would go up like to the ring apron, tear that tape off, take the signs down, rip them in pieces. And when we were doing like autograph signings and stuff like that, during intermission, people were taking those and just throwing them in our faces.
Wow.
And now we're like one of the most over tag teams in 0-1.
So something I do want to ask about, because like I said, Menders fills me in on what I miss when I can't make it to the shows. Christian Rose came back at the last show.
Yes, he did.
Is he still with the Lowlifes? Or is he just by himself now?
He's kind of by himself right now because, he's got this Them Damn Coyote group going on.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I hope I'm saying that right. And we got our thing, and we were just sitting in a meeting with him. He said all of a sudden he just got up and said he was going to get a pack of smokes and just never came back.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I was just curious because I know he was your heavyweight champion for a while.
Yeah. I made sure that stayed like that for a while.
Right. Hey, you're good at what you do, man. You're
thank you very
capable
much.
security guard.
Better than that monkey butt Tony.
Yeah. Mender's very excited that Christian Rose came back in the.
There was a lot of people that I'm sure she was excited about Empress of Evil coming back too.
Oh, I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, she got, I can't remember what was happening exactly, but she was in a match and she got drug. Lights went out all of a sudden, and these 2 druids came from out of nowhere, drug her out of the ring, took her in the back.
Yeah, Menders told me about that, but I didn't know that she actually went back to the old gimmick.
Well, I mean, last I seen her, she was like the Empress of Evil.
Huh.
So yeah,
I'll be darned.
We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah,
you got to come to the next show and see what happens.
I will be there. I will have on my jumping the rail finery unless we get your Marvin Mania merchandise worked out by then.
Oh, that would be perfect timing.
I'll give you. I got a website you can use and get shirts for pretty affordable.
Okay,
but I'll get that too before we say goodbye today.
All right,
all right,
enough, sir.
All right, so that brings it into our Top 10 Tuesday, and with that, it's going to bring it into our show. We're a little bit over time from it's 8:15.
Oh, my bad.
But, man, time flies by, doesn't it?
Man, it's been a pretty fun experience, man. I really enjoyed it, and now I can cross off being on a podcast of my wrestling.
Yeah. And I hope you will be a returning visitor, whether it be via Zoom or in person.
Either way, man.
And we'll hang out at the 01 shows, man. And who knows, maybe we'll do some more stuff. I'd love to do something.
And don't forget, I'm going to be in that number 1 contenders battle royal.
You're going to be winning the number 1 contenders battle royal.
I hope so. What do you mean? I hope so.
I
got to be confident. I'm going to be number 1 contender. I'm going to go on to the main event. I'm going to do the impossible, and I'm going to be the new 01 heavyweight champion.
There you go.
And I'm going to beat you, Lander.
Oh,
probably not. Okay, hold on. Wait.
Don't probably not, man. You got to believe.
Wait a minute. Okay, he's got a little bit more experience than me. That's all I'm saying. But the power of Marvin Mania and stuff like that.
Plus,
the power of the fans.
Yeah. Plus, you got the lowlifes behind you, man.
That's true. I got Joe. I mean, I'm having a little problem. I'd rather not have that, Tony out there because I've had my problems with him in the past. And
but
Jordan seems a little hesitant about me.
Right. You got Joey though.
But I got Joey. I got his back, man. And he's got my back for sure. I mean, I saved the man's life twice from Shank Barzini.
Right.
If you haven't seen those, go on 01 Official on the YouTube and check out those videos.
Yeah. If you need me to have, I don't know, a chain or something in my pocket, if you need to, just give me the high sign and I can probably slip something to you.
Well, yeah, no,
I shouldn't say that on the podcast.
You can't do that. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I shouldn't.
We'll talk later.
All right, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah. All
right, so one more thing I'm going to mention before we say goodbye, and this is just general show business, not show business, but show business.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start doing something a little bit different with the podcast. As you guys all know, Mike Nargelinas is no longer a regular co-host, which is all good. We love him. He's always got an open invitation back, but I'm going to be going at some point in the very near future. I'm going to be bringing in a new team to help me out with the podcast. We got to get some logistical details and keep an ear out on our Facebook page and social media, and I'll fill you guys in as that happens. But there's going to be some new developments with the Jumping the Rail podcast and some things we're looking forward to.
Are.
And we're still gonna, and I'm hoping, I haven't talked over with the with Marko, but I'm hoping to actually get some more like non-wrestling content going too, like on the show. But it was very important to me that we can still do a regular wrestling podcast, and Marko will be the first to tell you he doesn't know shit about wrestling. And if it's just me and him, it's not going to be...
We got to smarten him up to the business.
Right? We got to get him to a 01 show.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, so in the interest of still... And my vision of this show is always to do a wrestling podcast, but there's other stuff that Marko knows a lot about, that he has a lot of opinions on. If anybody knows him, knows that's the case. And then... So we're going to bring in some stuff like that, sports, movies, TV, whatever. And then but I still wanted to keep a regular wrestling content going. So I'm going this alternate route, as it were, once I get the logistics all figured out. So we're going to be kind of expanding the Jumping the Rail platform a little bit. And so keep an ear out for that. Like I said, we're not ending anything necessarily. We're just kind of shaking things up a little bit. And with that, I'm going to say, bring the show to an end. And once again, JTR Pod, ProWrestlingTees.com/JTR Pod for our merchandise. The show will drop on Thursday. Podbean, Audible, Spotify, Apple Podcast. And I don't know what time on Thursday. It'll be sometime. And but it'll come up on our Facebook and Twitter and all that. My thanks to my guest this week, Marvin Moser, the Low Life Thug. Buddy, it was awesome. You did a hell of a job.
Absolute pleasure, man.
The future 01 USA heavyweight champion.
Oh, man.
After October 22nd.
That's almost like a
wish
in the well, almost.
Hey, you never know. Mikey Whipwreck beat Stone Cold Steve Austin in ECW.
That is very true.
So, but
I've been told I'm like kind of like the might be
Mikey
Whipwreck.
Spiky Whipwreck, Dudley Marvin. But I will be there on the 22nd. I'm going to try and get some
Can't
more.
wait to see him, man.
Get some more crew going. We got to get Marko to a show. Getting ours out. Maybe see if he put his money where his mouth is.
It's the 16th anniversary show. It's going to be worth it.
Oh yeah, but it's.
With the triple threat of Anakin, Fidget, and Analog.
Yes.
Holy
and
barn burner. That might steal the show, to be honest.
And it is at the usual digs in Mattoon, right?
Yes, sir.
I always forget the name.
Burt. I always do too. Burt.
Menders.
Yeah. Menders, help us. I can't.
The Don
I can't
Henley
do it.
Convention Center or something like that.
Burt.
David Cavasso is so happy.
I know it. I have a terrible time pronouncing it.
I'm hoping Menders will jump on here. If not, I mean, you guys know where it is. It's the same building in Mattoon where it always is.
Right across from a police station.
Yeah. So there's never any funny business. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to you guys until next time. The Burgess Center. Thank you, Menders, in Mattoon.
Yes.
All right. Oh, I always called it the Burgess Meredith Center.
Ah.
But all right. So until next time, and also another thing I'll mention: the days may change eventually for the podcast. I'm not sure what it will be yet, but again, keep it on social media. So until next time, for my buddy Marvin here, this is Redman, and I'm going to try to end this properly because I don't have a producer with me.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see you guys later.